The Planning Commission meeting. I call this meeting to order. And if I could have everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I do have a flag here, that way we have something to look at. Right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag
United
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. And if we can continue on to roll call. Stephanie, please.
Yes. Commissioner Guerrero.
Present.
Commissioner Lopez.
Present.
Chair Sanchez.
Present.
Commissioner Flores.
Present.
Commissioner Wolbert.
Present.
Commissioner Chang.
Present.
Commissioner Morales.
Present.
Okay. Commissioner Quill is absent, and we are waiting on Commissioner Jones. We have quorum to start.
Perfect. Thank you, Stephanie. All right. So we are going to continue on. Before I get into the meat of the meeting, I will actually read out some ground rules. We will, hopefully everyone can mute themselves and everything while someone else is speaking so that the tape record is nice and clear. We will first listen to the staff report, then public comments will be opened where we will hear from the public. Then we will deliberate. I'll go from ward to ward. That way everyone has the time to speak and make comments about the agenda item. After everyone has gone, we will go once more, just a raise of hands and everything, and then I will call on you to make additional comments and questions to the applicant. Is there anyone that has a conflict of interest on any of the agenda items? If you do, if you could raise your hand. I see no hands, so I think we can continue there. We will have a roll call for our votes, and I believe that is all. So we'll get started. If we could have the consent agenda, Oliver?
Yes, Commissioners, good evening. Actually, first item we have is the minutes for the meeting of December the 8th. They are complete as presented. Thank you.
Thank you, Oliver. If we can note that Vice Chair Jones is here.
Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you.
All right. So we've heard the staff report. I'll open this up to public comment. Is there anyone wishing to speak on this agenda item? If not, I will close public hearing for this item and I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. Stephanie, if we could have a vote roll call.
Commissioner Guerrero.
Aye.
Commissioner Lopez.
Aye.
Chair Sanchez.
Yes.
Commissioner Flores.
Aye.
Commissioner Jones.
Aye.
Commissioner Wolbert.
Aye.
Commissioner Chang.
Aye.
Commissioner Morales.
Aye.
Item passes. Thank you.
Stephanie, if I may, for the record, since Commissioner Flores was not at that meeting, he would have to abstain from that vote. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. Continuing on to public hearing items. The Planning Commission will first hear a report from staff and then the public hearing will be opened. The applicant will have an opportunity to speak. Next, members of the public will be allowed to speak. After all have spoken, the applicant will be allowed to respond. The public hearing will then be closed and the Planning Commission will begin deliberations and make a decision. All actions except general plan amendments and amendments to the Municipal Development Code are final actions unless an appeal is filed and a fee paid within 15 days to the Community Development Department. If you challenge the resultant action of the Planning Commission in court, You may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at the public hearing described in this agenda, or in written correspondence delivered to the Community Development Department at or prior to the public hearing. All right. Opening up for agenda item number 2. If we could have the staff report, please.
All right, thank you, Chair. Item number 2 this evening is Conditional Use Permit 1904 and Public Convenience of Necessity Letter 1902. This is a request to expand by redeveloping an existing service station with convenience store and adding a drive-through car wash to the site. Property is located at 847 West Highland Avenue. It's just under an acre in size and located in the commercial general zone. This is an aerial of the property. You can see it is comprised of currently 3 parcels. It is a through lot, which means it does back up, fronts 2 streets, although the property is only accessed through the primary street along Highland. And it's located immediately adjacent to the 259 Hall. The zoning district, as I mentioned, is all commercial general for the entirety of the site. So this would involve ultimately, through redevelopment, would be the demolition of the entire site as it sits today and rebuilding a new gas station, which would comprise of 6 pump islands and 12 fueling stations, a brand new convenience store just under 4,000 square feet in size, drive-through car wash, and 22 parking spaces provided in addition to those located at the fueling islands. So this one also has a request. It's not a request for a new ABC license. This is a little bit of a unique situation. The site, as it is right now, has a Type 20 ABC license. That's for off-sale beer and wine only. They've had that license in place since the late 80s. This property, because it's been licensed for so long, predated our current alcohol ordinance that was adopted back in 2012. So through that ordinance, they were deemed approved because they already had an existing license. As part of our deemed approved ordinance, anytime we're going in to expand the sales or service area for an existing business, they are required to meet the current permitting requirements, which in this case is the conditional use permit. So we are re-reviewing the project. We would be re-entitling it to include that alcohol sales, but this would not actually create a new license. There are currently 7 in the track already, including this subject site. This would not change that if it's approved as requested this evening. But because the track also only permits 4 through ABC's pre-established requirements, but they are subject to the PCN request, which is the second part of this application. As part of this, and as we would do with any other ABC application, be it a new license or otherwise, the police department did review this project. Their staff report is included as the attachment to what you have this evening. And through their analysis, they found no reason to object to the continued operation of the site with the Type 20 license. So this is a shot of the existing site. As you can see, it does have a smaller fueling area in the front. This is all along Highland Avenue. Only has 4 pumps now, so there would be 2 additional provided through the redevelopment. And then it has a much smaller store and an old service area in the building to the rear. That building would be completely demolished. A brand new convenience store with no vehicle service that would be removed from the property. That would be built towards the back of the site. And then, as you'll see in the site plan coming up next, car wash would be built up towards Highland. So as I mentioned, 6 new pumps under the canopy, set back a little bit further from the street than it is right now to provide better circulation. The convenience store built to the rear of the property with the parking directly in front, and then the darker gray box on the left or right-hand side, sorry, is the drive-through car wash that would be set or oriented up towards Highland Avenue. These are the conceptual elevations for the store, so a little bit more of a modern design, step up from what they currently have. And as you can see, both the car wash and the convenience store have been designed to kind of carry the same theme through the site. And with that, our recommendation this evening is to adopt Resolution 2021 -001. That would be finding this project categorically exempt as an infill development project, and then approving the conditional use permit request 1904 and public convenience necessity letter 1902 based on the findings and subject to our conditions. With that, I will open it up for any questions. We do also have the applicant here if you do have any.
All right. Thank you, Travis. At this time, I will open public hearing for item number 2. We'll first start off with the applicant if he wants anything to add to the report.
Looks like he's muted, actually. I'm not sure if he had any comments.
Oh, we do have the owner as well. Oh, no. All right. So if we have any questions, we'll make sure we direct it towards you. So I'll go from ward to ward, starting with Ms. Guerrero, Commissioner Guerrero.
Thank you. No questions. Looks like a great project and a great upgrade to the area. Thank you.
Perfect. Going on to Commissioner Lopez. Any comments?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. Travis, the photo that you showed us just right now, is that a current photo?
Of the existing site?
Yes.
It was not taken that recently, no.
Yeah, because it doesn't
But
look-
it's still, it's more to reflect the buildings and the current development of the site.
well, it's not a current photo, and I think we should have had a current photo so we could see what it looked like now. Now, the proposal is asking for an expansion. What do you mean by expansion? Is it in square footage or a bigger gas station with just the fuel? It's the 6 fuel station? Because I think it has, what, 4 now?
Yes, it has. It would be both. In all ways that you could use that expression. They would be going from 4 fueling pumps to 6 to expand the number of stations there. It would also be putting in the convenience store area is only a portion of that existing building. I do not have the exact square footage of that, unfortunately.
There is a convenience store now?
It's a small mini market within that existing building.
So are they looking to expand that convenience store as well?
Yes, that entire everything that's built on the site currently through this proposal would be demolished completely.
Now,
The fueling area, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish.
The entire site would be demolished as it sits today. The fueling area would be rebuilt toward the center of the property, further back so that there's circulation fully around the site. Right now, that canopy is right up on Highland Avenue, so there's not a lot of room to maneuver around it. And then the building that is there right now, which used to have some auto repair in it, although that's not being used, and has a small market, be completely demolished, and the new store, approximately 3,900 square feet, would be built on site towards the rear of the property.
Now that Chevron gas station is right up to the exit off of the 215.
That's
you know.
correct.
And there's only, I guess, is there 1 or 2 entranceways into that?
There's 2 driveways currently on Highland Avenue.
Okay, and that will remain the same?
Yeah, those are not proposed to change as part of this.
Because there's already a lot of traffic on there because you have an off-ramp and an on-ramp on both sides, and it even obscures, if you're traveling east on Highland, you don't really see the Chevron until you're right upon it. So I wonder now that it's going to increase its capacity, does it a gas station that has that much business that it needs to have 6 fueling stations? Is that what this proposal is based on?
I can't speak to the mindset on that myself. That would be something I would refer more to the operator of the site.
Okay. Also, I noticed that Stephanie sent us a letter from a resident,
Mhm.
and on there it said that you met with the resident and
I
answered
did.
questions. What was that discussion?
Yes, I did speak to them twice, both yesterday when we received the letter and then today.
Hold on, Travis. I think Albert has a question.
Yeah, Chair
Oh, yes.
Sanchez, I think we may have skipped that part of allowing Stephanie to read that comment. I think we should read it first before Travis shares what he discussed with the person who made that comment.
That's fine.
Thank you, Albert.
Yes, of course.
Okay, bear with me. In regards to conditional use permit 1904 and PCN 1902, there's a lot of history dealing with problems in our neighborhood associated with and caused by the business operated at this location. To begin with, the business property extends southward from Highland Avenue to 21st Street, with its rear boundary on a residential street directly across from my home at 855 West 21st Street. A portion of the east side property line abuts my neighbor's property at 832 West 21st Street. The business operated at this location literally encroaches into a residential neighborhood. The current footprint of this business has approximately 20% its total segregated at the rear or south by a block wall. This portion of the property is designed as the landscaped area in CUP 84-47 and was intended as a buffer between the business and the residents of the 800 block of West 21st Street. It is to be maintained as a condition of the permit. The non-maintenance of this area and the lack of attention to the station property behind the building on this site by its owner operators has long been a source of problems for our neighborhood. Loitering, trespassing, vandalism, burglary, litter, and blight. I can be more specific as necessary. The addition of the mini mart in the mid 1980s started things moving in the wrong direction in our immediate neighborhood, both aesthetically and being less secure. This happened when the previous owner's operators failed to obey the requirements the city placed on the operation and by ignoring the loitering on their property. This is still the case today. The current owner operator has been extremely lax with compliance and until code enforcement is called and gets involved, seems unconcerned about the issues his station causes our neighborhood. Lately, there appears to be some effort to clean up and maintain the main station property, but this is in no way addresses the ongoing issues that exist at the rear of the property. Also, I suspect this activity is motivated by a poor evaluation from Chevron and the application for this permit. There was a service station on this site when I bought my home in 1977, so it is not a matter of being opposed to living near a business, but living near a business that has a callous disregard for nearby residents. The idea of a major expansion of this business is described in this notice for me as a no-go. I believe the approval of this project would further erode the aesthetics of our residential neighborhood, diminish our quality of life and security, and most likely reduce the value of our real property. Ask yourselves, would you want the business described in this notice right outside your front door? The neighbors listed below and I are opposed to the approval of this project, and there are 5 residents listed.
Thank you, Stephanie. Commissioner Lopez, you wanted to continue?
Yes, if I may, thank you. So, so what was the result? What was the end result? You had a conversation with this resident about some of his concerns?
So I did speak to the resident, the first gentleman listed yesterday when they provided us the letter, and then I provided them a copy of the packet so that they could review the plans. As we all know, those aren't always included in the mailer. And they reviewed the full packet and conditions and all. And then we did have a follow-up conversation this morning. As I got it from talking to him, there was an understanding of the business that was there, as he mentioned, in there predating his residency in the neighborhood. So there didn't seem to be as much of an issue from that. What we talked more about was a lot of the maintenance concerns, the fact that they will be maintaining, the setback buffer there along 21st Street from the rear of the property. They do still have that as part of their design. Talking about, what improvements they're going to be doing at the back of the site. As the site is right now, and as I understand it from other conversations with the applicant, there are some concerns. There are some, maintenance that's going to be ongoing on the property. A lot of that does stem from the fact that the entire back half of the site is hidden and undeveloped. with the proposal that we have this evening, you would actually be bringing the store back further on the property and getting rid of that dead space. So a lot of those concerns would potentially go away. I can't guarantee you anything, of course, but the way that the site's been designed, it's really been looked at to address those concerns. And those were things that I discussed with, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, with the gentleman that provided us the letter. He seemed to understand those. There really wasn't a resolution. He didn't rescind his comments, but we did come to at least what I thought was an understanding of the improvements that they are trying to make.
Does this letter talk about that site is already intruding into the neighborhood? Was that on there? I thought
he does mention that. The way I look at that, because it is a through lot, because it has that frontage on 21st Street, yes, there is residential around it. I don't know. It's a matter of opinion whether you call that an intrusion or not. But yes, it is a through lot, so there are residences that abut it on the side there and oppose it on 21st.
Well, I guess my concern was it physically intruding into what was people's residences, backyards or whatever? Because my understanding isn't there an alleyway behind that?
Yeah, Stephanie, is it possible to bring the presentation back up and go to the aerial? Okay, so thank you. So as it is right now, the property, as you can see outlined in the red, does go all the way down in front 21st Street, but the actual improvements, the paved area does not go all the way. They did set it back still, as was mentioned in the letter, to kind of maintain consistency with the homes there on 21st. There is a small alley. It doesn't cross their site because theirs has encompassed it, but there is an alley that backs up to the 4 residences there on 21st. Thank you. That alley, I know, does actually connect in with the property right under the arrow, immediately next to the gas station, and then does provide access out to H Street. I'm not sure, was there a further question about it?
Only that I am aware that the alley is filthy. People dump there, and I think people gather there, and that may be one of the causes for the complaints that people have with loitering, noises, and other activity may be going on that they're concerned about. I don't know in whose jurisdiction or is the city responsible for clearing that out every now and then. Not putting the blame on the Chevron or any of the others, because the businesses that are next to the Chevron, they all use that alleyway to access.
I'm familiar with that, yes.
Yeah, so I've seen it, been down there, and it's filled with always people dumping trash, maybe people hanging out there and so forth, and that may be a cause for concern. Is it the city's responsibility to clean it every now and then?
I mean, that would be something, I believe Alex was on the meeting with us. That would be something I would defer more to Public Works, since it does start to encompass a right-of-way.
Then it is the city's responsibility.
I mean, I'm saying I would leave it to him to answer that. I wouldn't be able to speak for myself.
Good evening, commissioners. Yes, the city is responsible to clean the alleys, public alleys, from time to time when there is dumping. But there is a lot of dumping around the city that sometimes it takes time for our staff to get there to clean it up. But we do clean it up as much as we can. And I think maybe this project, when it comes into fruition, that might prevent that, since people will know there is a business there and they won't be able to maybe dump or something like that. So maybe it's a plus better than a minus. We don't know yet, right?
Well, there's a broader concern for that, because a lot of those streets, I live off of Serrano.
Yes.
Right next to Muscoviabi. And if you're aware of those neighborhoods,
yes.
One time, those houses were built in the 50s, and there are alleyways all along, because at one time the waste vehicles would go by there and pick up your trash.
Yes,
now
I believe.
Changed, but the alleyways have fallen into disrepair and have become sites for dumping that I would think Public Works would put it on your schedule to check it out every now and then?
That is a good question. The city does not have, because, since the bankruptcy, they didn't have a program to rehab or to pave alleys at this point of time. But that is something that we will bring up as we go, because we've been hearing about a lot of alleys within the city that they are almost dirt. So we will propose something to the council hopefully in the future CIPs to bring some alleys up to up to standards. The problem with these alleys is because to drain them very well is we have to install a V-gutter in the middle concrete, which is add to the cost of an alley like that. I'm looking at it, and my estimation is for me to rehab that alley is about $65,000. So it is money because there is a lot of concrete and a lot of asphalt. Not a lot of asphalt, but concrete mostly in it, which is drive up the price. But it's not an excuse. I completely understand. And we will be hopefully in the future coming up with the council for an alley rehab program so we can address these alleys from time to time.
I look forward to that. Thank you.
Oh, and we'll work on it. Promise you we'll work on it.
Thank you. I look forward to that.
No problem.
Travis, how receptive
Yes.
was the developer? You said you talked to him about some of those maintenance issues with the neighbor. What was his response or her response?
Well, I do want to say, I did talk to the architect about it specifically, and he had informed me that he furthered the discussion with the operator of the site. They do understand the concerns. Again, I think a lot of the rehab and what they're trying to do this evening is in part to address that. And I don't know if we can bring back up the aerial just one more time, Stephanie. One of the big things, and I know it may be a little bit hard to see on here, is right where the white arrow is pointing is where the building sits right now. So that's really the back of the developed part of the property. Everything behind there is all asphalt, just hidden behind the store. You have the landscaped area behind that on the other side of that wall. All of that is really just not visible to people on the property right now. So I can't say exactly what's happening, who may be congregating, because not as well as the residents have spoken to it. But without visibility back there, it really does lead to those types of things happening, or at least the opportunity for them to happen. With what they're proposing with the development, it is bringing the focus to the rear of the property there. It's bringing the store back. They have a landscaped area around the store, so it's harder for people to be able to congregate. There's other improvements, parking back there, so you don't have these kind of areas that have no eyes on them. They understood that. We did speak about that kind of at length. And I think also, as the letter had noted from our resident, there have been steps that they've done recently to start to try to address some of these concerns. So my understanding is they are also aware of it, and they would like to have the property cleaned up as well. This is a significant investment for them to proceed with, to not want to maintain it, not want to run the site.
I assume that the developer wants to make that Chevron gas station a little bit more competitive. If you're driving down Highland from the overpass going east, there's a Shell station with 6 fueling stations, a drive-through car wash, a convenience store, a small convenience store. Less than a half a mile to very close is continuing east on Highland is the USA gas station with 6 fueling stations, a small convenience store, no drive-through. So I imagine the Chevron wants to get the 6 fueling stations, a drive car wash, and a convenience store. I understand that the alcohol license is expiring this year. Is that?
I don't have the exact expiration date, but that is not the cause for their proposal this evening.
And that we are oversaturated already according to ABC guidelines that we're accepted.
That's correct, but just to clarify again, that current oversaturation includes the license that is already in operation on this site, and the total number of permitted licenses would not change. The overall request this evening is more of a technical matter because of our code requirement. It's nothing to do with an expansion of their service or what they would be able to sell, how they would be able to sell it, things of that sort.
I guess as I understand it, what you just said is, according to ABC, we should have had 4, but for whatever reason, the city over the years approved up to 7. Since they have already a ABC license, that's not going to change it to 1 more outside of the 7, but it's still, the end result is the same. We're oversaturated. All right, then those are all my questions for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lopez. Commissioner Flores, any comments?
Yeah, I was wondering, Travis, if you can give a quick summary of any lighting or security measures being taken.
I mean, it is on the site plan. I know it's a little bit hard to see. I would actually see, if possible, I know we have our architect on the meeting here. He might be able to.
Travis, don't forget to remind the commissioners of the conditions of approval that we normally add as well for security.
Yeah, thank you, Oliver.
You're welcome.
Sorry, I'm just skipping through a couple pages here.
Number 18, conditions of approval, numbers 18 and 19 are actually conditions for, in regards to the ABC license of having 2 employees on the premises at all times while alcohol is being sold, and that there will be a security button installed into the premises. That way, in case of emergency, the police will be notified. So,
thank you. Speaking specifically to the lighting, we got that in there for you. We won't forget. We do have standard requirements in our development code for any parking areas. It is a minimum of 1-foot candle over the whole surface area of the parking. As the site is effectively all parking area, that would have to be maintained. Certainly, there would already be the fully lit canopy that covers a significant portion of the property. We do have a condition it's included specifically for the alcohol license, but it is applicable to the greater concerns. It is number 20 on page 8 of this item. That is for the sufficient lighting on the property. It does require, as our development code does as well, to maintain it, orient it so that it does not encroach onto adjacent properties, so that it is angled and shielded appropriately, and has standards for maintenance in there. Let's get back to our site plan for me. At this point, I would actually see it, but I know I saw our architect on here. I think he might be able to speak a little bit more to some of the specific design concerns.
And if I may add, on the resolution conditions, number 20 through about 33, looks like it's up to 42. It looks like those are all out for conditions that are always included for alcohol-related uses that are imposed by the police department as it relates to alcohol-related businesses. So those conditions address that as well, specifically because of the alcohol.
Thank you. I don't have any more questions or need additional context. Thank you.
perfect. Thank you, Commissioner Flores. Commissioner Jones, any comments?
None at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jones. Commissioner Wolbert.
Yes, last week I met with some business friends of mine. They've had their business on Highland for well over 40 years, and they know this area much better than I do. And we sat down and Google Earthed everything, checked it all out. Is there something going on with Caltrans on their on-ramps right now?
I would actually see if Alex might be able to jump in again on that one.
Nothing that I know of. I believe that area has been, Caltrans has been done with all the, maybe, you know what, maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe there is a project for upgrading signal lights, if I'm not mistaken. I've heard that today, as a matter of fact, I was looking at the agenda, I was asking around, and I hear that Caltrans is upgrading the signal lights in that area for whatever reason.
That's what my business friends thought was happening, yeah.
Yes.
And so which is up here, that'd be good because that's a kind of congested area. But I'm depending on their background, not mine, because I don't have it in that area. So, excuse me. So they looked at it and spent quite a bit of time looking at it because they know the area. And they felt that this was going to be a good project. It cleans up the area. Whenever you have something brand new, it's nice and shiny, well lit as usual. And this is a good project. So I'm following along those lines. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilbert. Commissioner Chang, any comments?
No further questions for me. Looks like a nice project. Looking forward to the beautification of the streetscape. Nice work. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Morales.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I think that this is a great project to, like you mentioned, Helen, to clean up the area. I do think, though, like to address maybe some of the community members' concerns, you know, the oversaturation of alcohol in that area, as well as the crime rate. After reviewing the the memorandum from the police department, I don't know if I would like to ask you, Oliver, like in the past, do you think, since we already have, we've over allowed the ABC licenses, would it be fair to possibly maybe decrease the hours of operation for alcohol there? Maybe that might help with some of the, you know, the crime rate that we're seeing right there in that area from, you know, instead of 6 a.m. to 2 a.m., since they have to renew the license anyways, maybe we can change it to 9 a.m. to 12 a.m. That might, you know, kind of offset the crime in that area. I don't know your thoughts on that, Oliver.
Yes, thank you. That's certainly something that we can contemplate and consider. The challenge with that is the monitoring, you know, and so essentially what we're asking is that if we limit it, let's say, for example, to 12 o'clock, now we're relying on someone to drive by, someone from the city or representative to drive by between 12 and 2 o'clock. And then there's a process, you know, there's warning citations and those kinds of things. And so I personally, I think that with the measures that we have in place for the, as we've added in the past for the number of employees and security and what have you, I mean, I would, my recommendation would be that we keep it as what we typically do for all service stations or alcohol related uses, because now I think we have a couple or a few service stations in town, and to have one that has a unique condition would be really kind of hard to monitor.
Okay.
And support, I guess.
Right. And then my last question would just be, I know, I think Madam Chair read it off about the security, that there's like a button available for them to push inside the store. Could you just maybe expand on what is that? Does that just like alert police right away to come, or maybe Travis can speak more to that? I was just curious on more details. What is that, I guess?
I think it's more like a panic button, I would say, you know, and so it alerts them. And the good thing too that we just started doing are the 2 employees, you know, because it's you know, they kind of, you know, you have an extra set of eyes, and I believe that's during the alcohol sales time, so that we know that. That is how the condition is written. And you know, and then sometimes, you know, there's limited access to the store after hours also. You know, that sometimes they self-impose. I don't know with this applicant, but I believe we did have a few meetings back. I don't remember which one specifically, where they talked about, you know, they don't even let people in the convenience store. It says they're working through the pass-through window now.
Okay. All right. Thank you, guys. I don't have any other further questions. I think it's a great project.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Morales. Just one moment, Amelia. I do actually have I do have a few comments. I want to thank staff for this great project. It looks much like Commissioner Wilbert said, it looks shiny new. It revitalizes that area because it is quite older and kind of falling down a little bit, and very close to the street. So thank you again for adding conditions number 18 and 19 in regards to the ABC license and the monitoring. And the addition of, I hadn't seen this before, conditional use permit or approval, number 33M, about the RBS, about the education of the employees on alcohol sale and everything. So thank you for that addition. I think that really does help in kind of the prevention and a little bit more of kind of keeping things alert in that regard. I did have a quick question. Condition approval number 38. It says if security. I notice on some of them they say security, la da da da. This condition of approval, it says if. I know there will be, but if we could have little clarification in the wording there.
I will speak to that. Give me just one. I'm sorry, hold on. I believe that is just a typo, and I think that the conditions as we received them from the police department did request.
I think I would feel comfortable recommending it to eliminate the option, remove the if.
Yes,
And
just
then-
that it seems like it is there. It's not going to be. I know in sites like this there will be, but just as open that if.
Essentially, there will be security cameras, and because this is a modification to the conditions and the resolution, I think we would need to, I believe we would need to ask the applicant if he would agree with that change in the condition.
I would say, actually, I found the line I was looking for. The condition is initially written as that, so my apologies. That was a typo, not to correct that one word. The request from the police department was saying that they are that the site must have a minimum of 2 24-hour time-lapse security cameras.
Perfect.
So that was a minor oversight in correction.
Not at all. No worries. Albert, would we need the applicant to approve that, even though it is already stated that there will be the 24-hour lapse?
Yes, we should still ask them if they agree with all the conditions.
Okay, wonderful. Yes, Mr. Yosef Zayed?
Hi, my name is Atabak Yusufzadeh. I'm the architect for the project, and I actually we designed 32 cameras for that project, and 2 of them are the cameras that the police department did request, and we will have that in the construction documents to have 32 cameras on site.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Just wanted to make that clarification.
I just realized this. As the condition is written, the last line of it is the requirement from the police department for the minimum of 2. So really that condition should be modified, and I would actually recommend that we just delete everything but the last line, so that it does say they are required. You have to have the minimum of 2 24-hour time lapse on site.
Perfect.
And Chair Sanchez, can we ask the applicant if they agree with all the other conditions?
Oh, yes. Much like our lawyer has mentioned, do you approve all the rest of the conditions for the security and everything?
The owner of the project has stipulated to all the conditions of the approval as is imposed by the City of San Bernardino for this project.
Perfect. Thank you. I believe I actually do have a few more questions. Could you explain conditions of approval number 51G about all hours and
Was that question from me?
actually if you could answer as well, or Travis, he could answer that.
Regarding the lighting, excuse me.
Yes.
That's just saying, as I mentioned earlier, requires a minimum of 1-foot candle illumination.
We can't hear you, Travis.
I'm sorry about that. Reaching for something. Our code does require a minimum of 1-foot candle of illumination uniformly over any parking area on the site for visibility and security of the property. But it just speaks to during any hours of operation. So if the business was completely closed, it does not automatically require that site remain illuminated.
Oh, okay, perfect. I just hadn't heard the term candle in that respect. Let me see.
It just speaks to the brightness of the site, so that there's no kind of dead spots or dark areas when the site's in operation.
Wonderful. Okay. There's on the car wash, there is actually a blank wall. Are there any ideas of putting signage or greenery on there? We know there's a few residents and people probably outside of the city who like to draw on said walls. So to prevent graffiti and such, is anything going to be put in place there that way, kind of as prevention and maybe something to make it look nicer? Or
actually, what we do. Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead, John.
I was just going to clarify, are we referring to the site, the western side interior on the property, or what's on the eastern side?
On either side, just so you would know that, maybe even on the inside for the drive for the car wash.
That would actually.
I think the applicant has actually a response.
Yeah, if he wanted to jump back, it sounded like he had something to say as well.
What we do in these cases, we actually plant green IVs on the ground in the landscape. So basically what it does, it grows onto the blank wall and makes it much nicer than it is eventually. Within about a year or so, the IVs will grow and it gives it, a nicer appearance than just a stucco wall.
Perfect. Thank you. That'll actually make it look much greener and prettier and prevents, people from destroying the property. So wonderful. Well, I guess one of the last kind of questions that I have is, will any electrical charging stations be planned in the future? I do know that you guys have a hydrogen dispenser there. Is anything in the electrical?
We will actually, I think, ever since we started this project a couple of years ago, electric chargers have become much more relevant to our life. We will design an electric charging station on the property into the construction documents, and I stipulate that to that now. I will design it so we will have a charging station in that gas station.
Wonderful. That goes forward with the green ideas and making sure that, as our residents start going into that kind of more eco-friendly cars and direction, that we already have a station already in place.
Yes, Ms. Sanchez.
And then I guess we have just a little bit, maybe Travis might be able to answer this, about the landscaping a little bit. I didn't see too much on the plans. I know that you're going to put ivy alongside the car wash. What else are you guys planning?
So we do have it's actually shown on the site plan itself. We don't have a separate landscaping plan to look at. There is minimal along the frontage, primarily because within the gas station area for the circulation, it really just needs to be open areas. But we do have, there's the strip of landscaping immediately between the driveways along the front of the street, landscaped area all along the eastern or the western side of the site, abutting the freeway embankment, and then a narrower strip along the eastern side between the adjacent property. And then a large landscaped area that would buffer the building heavily on the eastern side of the building, closest to the adjacent residential along 21st. And then another significant landscaped area, minimum of 20 feet in depth, that would front the back of the property along 21st Street to maintain that setback with the neighborhood.
Perfect. Okay, just wanted that clarification. And then I guess this one will be for the applicant. When do you guys plan to get started on this project? Because it looks great, and I'm super excited to see it come to fruition. So,
well, actually, that makes me feel much better. Make me feel really good to see that the city likes this project. This is one of our own creation in the office. We're really proud of that design, and I think it's going to be an asset for the city of San Bernardino. And obviously, after conditional use permit has been approved, we have to wait 15 days for the appeal period, and then we start the construction document. We take about approximately 5 months to do the construction documents, structural drawings, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, Title 24, and what have you. And then as soon as the city would approve it, we pretty much start within about a month of approval from the city of San Bernardino. We will start the construction. This owner is a very responsible owner. He's actually has not had this site since 1975. He's a new owner, and he maintains all his gas stations very nicely. Unfortunately, and I want to answer Madam, Lopez in regard to her concern. He cannot control the back of that property because wrong elements actually congregate over there. A few times they intimidated his, cashiers, so they were scared to go back there and run them off. They go drinking and they park over there, and we want to be great neighbors. We understand these neighbors, and we want to agree with them 100%. But the way to solve that problem is to actually build a nice building in the back, so nobody can congregate over there. Basically, a good answer to a crime or congregation of wrong elements in a property is development, and that's exactly what this owner is doing. And if you have any question, Ms. Lopez, I'm available to answer any of your questions or concerns.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So I'll go once more around if anyone has additional comments to make. Commissioner Lopez.
Thank you. At the beginning of Travis's presentation on the cover sheet, it says that the police department did not oppose this project. And in reading the materials, I didn't get the impression that they opposed it, but I also didn't get the impression that they approved it. So I wondered if, I just kind of felt that was misleading. After reading what the police submitted were their own facts of findings in terms of Part 1 and Part 2 crimes, and how many of those were attributed to alcohol. And I think there were about 22 total altogether. The thing is that there is a reason for why ABC does its review and designate by census tract how many alcohol outlets there should be off sale. It has to do with accessibility. But if you look at, I've been on this commission for, I don't know, I'm not going on 10 years, I think. Oliver, is that true, 10 years? Anyway, a long time. And the thing is that the trend for the city, when it comes to these sites, these proposals where a developer is requesting a letter of convenience and necessity, they're doing that because ABC, the state, has already designated that area as being oversaturated. And then it leaves it up to the city to determine whether they want to approve this or not. The trend for us here is every time these proposals come before us, the trend is to approve it. So we are making decisions as to how many alcohol outlets we want to have in the city. And that is something that I think maybe this commission needs to become more aware of what that means. And I don't know, maybe I need to go back and look at some information and submit it, and maybe for the next meeting you'll have some reading material. But that is a concern. I think all of you have stated correctly. This looks like a great project. It is upgrading that area. It's going to be a newer building. Hopefully it'll inspire other businesses within their location to also, polish up their appearance and so forth. And as the gentleman has said, with new development, it might eradicate some of that problem. But that gas station, when it was first built, was a new development. And then eventually it does. What it really requires is upkeep, maintenance, enforcement, and just being a good neighbor. So that's what my comment would be to the architect about this. So the trend for the city, and I'm concerned about that, is every time we get this, we are approving, and we're just going even more saturated as far as the alcohol outlet. So it is a great project, I think, with the exception of, I don't think we need for that area another alcohol outlet. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lopez. Any other comments? If not, I will close public hearing item number 2, and I will entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda item number 2 as read into the record.
Do I have a second?
I second that motion.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. Stephanie, if we could have a vote roll call.
Of course. Commissioner Guerrero?
Aye.
Commissioner Lopez?
No.
Chair Sanchez,
Yes.
Commissioner Flores,
Yes.
Vice Chair Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilbert,
Yes.
Commissioner Chang,
Yes.
Commissioner Morales.
Yes.
With one vote no, the item is approved.
Congratulations. All right.
Thank
Moving
you,
on.
commissioners.
I want to thank everybody for giving this consideration, and I think this will be an asset for the city of San Bernardino.
Welcome to the
Thank you.
city, and we look forward to having a new gas station there.
So thank you so much. Good night.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Before we move on to item number 3, I will actually excuse myself. I do have a prior engagement. I will be passing on the reins to Vice Chair Jones, and he will conduct the meeting from now on. Thank you and have a good evening, everyone.
Good
Thank you,
evening.
Chair.
Thanks, Chair Sanchez.
Thank you.
Good evening. At this time, we're going to go ahead and move to agenda item number 3, conditional use permit 20-16. Can we go ahead and have the staff report, please?
Thank you, Vice Chair. Item number 3 this evening, as mentioned, conditional use permit 20-16. Slide, please. This was a request to construct a retail building comprised of 2 separate tenant spaces, one of which would have a drive-through. This property is located at 108 West Highland Avenue, which is the northwest corner of Highland and Sierra Way. Property is just under half an acre in size, and it is zoned general commercial. This is an aerial of the property. As you can see, it's currently a vacant corner at the intersection of Highland and Sierra. Both corners on the north side are currently vacant. This is the northwest side. And as I noted, it is located in the general commercial zone, substantially surrounded by other general commercial zoning and uses. So as I mentioned, there are two retail spaces being proposed, both 1,500 square feet in size approximately. The site is providing 14 parking spaces, so just over the 12 that would be required. And one thing I want to point out off the site plan, which we'll see in just a moment here, their driveway that they would use to access Highland Avenue is actually going to be shared with the property adjacent to it. It's due to some constraints on the property because of some storm drain facilities and a bus stop. In order to make everything work, they came up with that plan. That's already been worked out with the adjacent property. There's already been an agreement in place that they've both come to for shared access. This is a picture of the existing site. As I mentioned, it is just substantially vacant. You can see both of what I just mentioned, the storm drain and the bus stop, that front the majority of their property. There are some other existing driveways there now, but those would be eliminated, and the driveway just moved to the west of the site. So I was mentioning it, as you can see, just down here on the lower left corner, that's where that shared drive would be coming in. That would kind of split the property line between those two sites and then provide access a little bit further on to their property. Parking all fronting the street. There's another driveway point on Sierra towards the northeast corner of the site, and then the drive-through that wraps around the building. Next slide, please. This is the kind of the conceptual elevations for the property. What you see on the top would be the elevation along Highland Avenue. So you have the entrance to the 2 retail spaces and then the drive-through canopy over the pickup window. And conceptual landscaping for the site. So we do have kind of the majority of it fronting our corner. Big landscaped area. Oh, sorry. Landscaped area kind of along the main corner with the tree canopy, and then both limited areas kind of wrapped around the side of the building. And our request this evening is for approval, as I mentioned, of the resolution 2021-002. That would be finding this project again categorically exempt as an infill development and approving the conditional use permit based on the findings and subject to our recommended conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Travis, for the staff report. At this time, we're going to go ahead and open public comments. Is there any member of the public wishing to comment on this agenda item?
I'm representing the applicant, John DeFrenza.
Welcome, John. Thank you for being here with us this evening. Does the commission have any questions or comments for the applicant at this time for agenda item number 3? All right. Thank you so much, John. I'm sorry. My apologies. Commissioner Flores, you can go first.
Yeah, thank you. I had a quick question. It looks like that bus stop there on near the site had no sort of shelter or any coverage from sun. So I was wondering what the intersection between the landscaping proposed, how will it affect the bus stop and provide any shading if possible?
As possible, could we bring back up that landscaping plan, Stephanie? So I don't believe the shelter is shown exactly on the site here. If we can, the 2 trees, though, that primarily front Highland in that landscaping area, the bus stop is located approximately right between those 2, between the old existing driveways. So that would provide some canopy to it. Not sure if there was more to your question.
No, yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's helpful to knowing where it is. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Were there any other commissioners that had any questions for the applicant at this time? Commissioner Wilbert?
Yeah, I don't have any questions. Like the previous article, I met with business friends that are 20 or 40 years on Highland, and we looked at the whole thing, and they're very, very familiar with the area, and Googled the whole area just to get a good shot of it, and they're very, very pleased because they're near there. It's a vacant lot. It just invites all kinds of problems. And this is a great add to the to Highland, and they're very thrilled about it. So I've passed that along with my motion or my thoughts as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilbert. Following up with Commissioner Wilbert's comment, I totally agree. I think that this is a great proposed project and will be a great addition to the city, especially when we're taking an underutilized lot and creating something that will contribute to the city. So thank you. At this time, we'll go ahead and close public comments. And I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda item number 3. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Can we please have a vote roll call from the recording secretary?
Yes. Commissioner Guerrero.
Aye.
Commissioner Lopez.
Yes.
Commissioner Flores.
Yes.
Vice Chair Jones.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilbert.
Yes.
Commissioner Chang.
Yes.
Commissioner Morales.
Yes.
The item passes.
Thank you so much, Stephanie, and congratulations.
If I may commend Oliver Mujica and Travis Martin. These 2 gentlemen have worked with us and established a rapid solution and an amazing resolution to what was going in a very wrong direction. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, commissioners, for your time. And since she's gone, I still will answer the question, when will we have this up and ready? We're ready to bring in our construction documents, and hopefully we'll get this started in construction extremely fast. Have a wonderful evening, everybody.
That's great news. Thank you so much, John. We appreciate that. Moving on to agenda item number 4, General Plan Amendment 20-02, Development Code Amendment, Specific Plan Amendment 21-01, and Development Type D20-02. Can we please have the staff report?
Yes, of course. Good evening, commissioners. Item number 4 is General Plan Amendment 20-02, Development Code Amendment, Zoning Map Amendment 20-03, Specific Plan Amendment 20-01, and Development Permit Type D 20-02. The proposed project is to change the general plan use designation from public quasi to specific plan, and the zoning district classification from public facilities to specific plan, Alliance California, 3rd Street, for the proposed project containing approximately 12.89 acres, and to allow the consolidation of 4 parcels containing approximately 52.97 acres, and the development of an industrial warehouse containing approximately 1,153,644 square feet. The project site is located on the south side of East 3rd Street between North Victoria Avenue and Central Avenue, and the project is known as the Landing by San Manuel. Next slide, please. Thank you. The aerial, here's the aerial map. The project, again, is on 3rd Street between Victoria Avenue and Central. To the north of the project site, you have the city of Highland. Within that section of the city of Highland, you have a lot of vacant properties, some commercial properties, as well as some residential properties. To the west of that site, you have some vacant property that is being used by the airport at the moment in time. And then as well, there is the Amazon warehouse a little bit more to the west of that. To the south of the site, you actually have the International Airport property. And I'm going to go a little bit over that in the next slide. And then to the to the east of that, you have the transportation operations. Next slide. Thank you, Stephanie. Here we have the location zoning map. The ultimate project is delineated in red, so that's where the project site will ultimately encompass. Part of the project proposes to change the public facilities zone, which is the light sky blue, to specific plan Alliance California, which would be the darker blue, in order for the proposed project to meet the general plan policies and guidelines. Next slide, Stephanie. The specific plan Alliance California, the purpose of the plan itself is to transition the non-airport portion of the Norton Air Force Base site from a single military use into a multi-use industrial center that allows these types of warehouse developments. The proposed amendment to this specific plan would allow for that transition by incorporating 12.89 acres into from the southern portion of the site, which is the public facilities, and removing 4.97 acres to the west of Victoria, which is part of this specific plan in order for the project to be flourished. The interior floor space includes the warehouse space and the office space. And then it also includes a second floor as part of the mezzanine, and that encompasses the 1.5 million square foot warehouse itself. In the next slide, I'll show you a little bit of the architecture. In order to assist with reducing some of the mass, the goal was to incorporate some vertical and horizontal articulation with some glazed windows, as well as use a mixture of shades of gray with incorporation of white, so that will alleviate some of that. If you can provide the next slide, and so this is the proposed rendering of the architecture and what the warehouse will look like. This is the site plan of the project. As mentioned, the square floor area is 1,080,144 square feet, and that's the office and the warehouse space. There is going to be a mezzanine, which is typically incorporated as a second floor, and that's 73,500 square feet. Next slide, please. As part of the traffic analysis, one of the things that we were incorporated was the different driveways onto the property. The ones on Victoria, which are a circle of blue, there's 2 driveways. One of the driveways would be primarily used for vehicular access and parking. It is going to have some truck access as well, but it also alleviates for there to be some vehicular access. The parking a little bit to the south of Victoria, closer to the airport itself, that one is going to serve more as a truck route. There is immediately to the south of that a staging area, and that's going to help with truck idling off-site, so there's actually trucks able to stay on-site as much as possible and deter some of that traffic. On Victoria, there's going to be 2 driveways. Those are the ones circled in yellow for access. Although there is some truck access, the goal here is to create all these different driveways in order to control truck circulation and allow for trucks to use the proposed signalized at the intersection of Victoria and 3rd Street. Immediately more east of that, there is going to be a driveway road for the airport use only, and that's the one circled in black. Next slide, please. So a little bit about the landscaping. So in order for the San Manuel to take advantage of the historical area of the Norton Air Force Base, they're going to be incorporating some historical art features. On the 3rd Street streetscape, they're going to be architecturally treating the screen wall with some vertical and horizontal breaks and columns. The columns will be incorporating some colorful inset tiles depicting historical imagery. They're also going to be incorporating layered landscaping consisting of like taller trees, 24-inch and 36-inch box trees, some accent shrubbery, and some low ground cover to reduce vandalism along the 3rd Street corridor. There is going to be a focal point throughout the site, but as it relates to this one, there is currently an existing water tower. The goal is to, if all possible, reuse that water tower and incorporate an art design representative of the Norton Air Force Base, have a picnic area, some concrete walkway pavers, incorporate some plants like palms, citruses, orchards, and other similar types of trees in order to make it a more inviting and actually take advantage of that area as much as possible by introducing all these architectural features in terms of landscaping. Next slide, Stephanie. So this is a conceptual landscape plan. As you can see, a little bit to the west of that on the corner of 3rd and Victoria, that's where the water tower proposal is for the center. So that's going to be a big focal point as well as everything along 3rd Street. Next slide. This is the 3rd Street scape. This is the conceptual in terms of how it's going to look once it's fully constructed. And it's going to incorporate, like I said, various types of trees, tiles with art depicting the historical significance of the Norton Air Force Base. Next slide. This is the project site. This is southeast from 3rd and Victoria. This would be a view southwest from 3rd and Central. This would be on the northeast from Victoria. As you can see, there's that existing water tower, and the goal is to hopefully be able to save it and reuse that and make it a part of the project itself. And this is on site from the northwest view from the rear of the from the airport property site. I'm going to have Oliver speak a little bit in terms of the CEQA review and the process that we went through with the project.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Thank you for that presentation. Stephanie, if I may ask you to go back a couple slides to the overall landscaping plan, show the site plan with the landscaping, please. Right there. So when we began discussing this project with the San Manuel group, again, we're just looking at the site plan, just to give you the magnitude of the size. It's essentially a mile long from one side to the other in length. If you look at the landscape planter or the landscaping along the what is the top edge here, the street frontage, that is in depth. That's between 20 to 25 feet, just to give you a little idea of the size. And so one of the things that we discussed early on was the streetscape. Anytime we deal with these large warehouses, it's like, okay, what's going to be the visual aesthetics from the street, and what is the view going to be? And so one of the things we wanted to make sure that we had enhanced landscaping, provide color. We wanted to provide screen wall, and primarily that is to screen the dock doors and the trucks that are within the service yards. But then we got into, well, that's going to be a very long wall. And so that's where we talked about the articulation. So it's going to go back and forth between 20 and 25 feet in lengths of sections between like every 50 to 75 feet. There's going to be a jog, and it's going to go back and forth. And then actually the folks over at San Manuel, they came up with the idea of the what I'll call a mosaic mural kind of treatment along the frontage. And maybe Stephanie, if you can go to the one of the later slides that I believe showed this one here. So that's what that's doing. So basically what they're doing is creating a not just an aesthetically pleasing landscape setting, but also the visual, from on the wall itself. So these are, be painted, be mosaic, and that kind of thing, and just kind of to create a greater setting. And so that was really our goal going into this. And so if you're looking at this, you see on the left-hand side how they incorporate some of these little tower elements. That's part of the wall, by the way. And then you see the wall. So if you look at the section on the right-hand side that has like the red and the turquoise color in there, it's a little bit higher. That is actually set a little forward. And so it's, and the section to the left is back. And so you can see this jog and this color variation is going to occur throughout the length of 3rd Street. So that was something that we thought was going to be to create an interest. They're also going to relocate, as Elizabeth mentioned, the existing water tower over to the corner. It's kind of a historical, kind of a heritage kind of feature to the airport. So they wanted to incorporate that and put some setting around there. So someday when employees get to sit around and have lunch or what have you, they could do it in this area. And so those were a couple of things. So aesthetics and view was very important. Then we got into the CEQA discussion. And so from the outset, it was agreed that we were going to do an environmental impact report for this project, which is the highest level of CEQA review that the state has for us. The city approved the selection of T&B Planning to do the environmental impact report. Along with that, it was agreed that there would be a third-party review agreement. We engaged the services of PlaceWorks to review the CEQA document or the EIR once it was completed or while it was being completed and the corresponding documents. And we also recruited the services of BB&K, our city attorney. So they had their CEQA team review this. So this has really been analyzed. We crossed every I, we got cross I's, we crossed T's actually. But anyway, we really went through it. And I wanted to walk you through the process a little bit also, because we think that the review is also important. Again, from the outset, the first thing that was prepared was what's called a notice of preparation. And it provides some environmental information that is distributed to the residents within 500 feet of the area. We also post a notice in the newspaper that the document is available for review and comments for 30 days. And we also had a scoping meeting. It was via Zoom, where we advertised for a scoping meeting so that we could also use that forum for solicitation of public comments. Once that review period, that 30-day review period ended, then we went into the preparation of the draft environmental impact report. That was prepared, and when that was completed, it was circulated for public review for 45 days. After that, we received comments from some public agencies and some interest groups. We prepared our response to those comments. All that was incorporated into the into what is called the final environmental impact report. And then we also include a mitigation monitoring program as part of that. It's an attachment. It's attachment B to your resolution this evening, and that covers impacts that include air quality, biological resources, cultural resources, greenhouse gas emissions, and transportation or traffic. And so those are what CEQA calls, that's the CEQA conditions, kind of a way of describing that. So we have our regular conditions of approval for the project. We have our CEQA conditions or mitigation measures that are included, and all that, along with the response to comments, are included. It's my understanding that there were some comments that were presented or recorded prior to this meeting so that they could be read into the record or heard into the record. Any of those comments that are environmental related that require response, those responses will be prepared and they will be incorporated into the final environmental impact report. Should the Planning Commission decide and vote to move this on to the City Council, that would be included as part of the overall package. Last slide, please, Stephanie. With that, next one, please, our last one. With that, our recommendation is that the Planning Commission adopt Resolution 2021-003, forwarding a recommendation to the Mayor and City Council to certify the environmental impact report, adopt the mitigation monitoring and reporting program, and to approve the project, which includes the general plan amendment, development code amendment, specific plan amendment, and development plan for the project, for the approval of project based on the findings of fact and the recommended conditions of approval. That concludes our part of the presentation. We do have the development teams. We have Peter Mateo from San Manuel. They have prepared a brief little PowerPoint and a little presentation for us that they'd like for us to share with you. They are available for questions. Their entire development team is here. So all the faces that you've seen on the Zoom meeting, most of them are from that group. Representatives from San Manuel. We have the team from T&B Planning. We have the folks from the development team, and so with that, we would be glad to answer any questions, and if need be, Vice Chair, we can maybe listen to the presentation from San Manuel. Thank you.
Okay, let's go ahead and open public comments, and we'll begin with that.
Thank you, Oliver. Good evening, Planning Commissioners, City staff, and citizens. Before I move forward, I would like to thank Oliver and Elizabeth for working tirelessly to get us to this Planning Commission tonight. My name is Peter Mateo, Director of Planning and Development for the San Manuel Band of Mission Indians. I would like to take time today to say thank you to the Planning Commission for the review of our project and City staff for working with us regarding our development application. San Manuel shares the same vision as the city in building a better community. Next slide, please. In recent decades, the San Manuel Band of Mission Indians, or the tribe, has played a significant role in the region as an economic driver, job provider, and advocate for supporting community causes. When you ask any member of the tribe what sets San Manuel apart not only from other Native American tribes, but business owners, the answer lies in their unwavering belief in the spirit of Yawa, or to act upon one's beliefs. The tribe has a special connection to the land, stewardship of their ancestral lands, and taking care of the people who inhabit them. That's what gives the tribe and those who represent the tribe purpose. Slide 3, please. We are committed to fulfilling the tribe's legacy to be leaders for positive social change. In 2003, San Manuel has contributed millions of dollars to do just that. Our charitable giving reinforces healthy and resilient communities, an example being the tribe's gifts to Loma Linda University for the Children's Hospital, Claremont Graduate University to support healthcare for the underserved population, and funding for Mary's Mercy Center to empower the lives of men living in homelessness. Then, just 2 weeks ago, on January 29th, San Manuel recognized 50 small businesses from San Bernardino and surrounding communities with a $20,000 gift each to help pay rent and keep their employees on payroll as they struggle through this pandemic. Slide 4, please. That same care for our community extends to infrastructure and public improvements. 3 examples of projects within the community are summarized. The first one, San Manuel completed 1.7 miles of EVWD sewer master plan improvements on Marshall and Sterling. The one in the middle, San Manuel completed street and pavement improvements along Victoria Avenue. And lastly, we are in the process of working with the City of Highland and San Bernardino International Airport to design and complete the 3rd and 5th Street improvements to allow better access to the airport and neighboring communities. San Manuel Landing is the merge of vision and values, the result of a shared vision and values-based design, achieved through thoughtful planning with a deliberate focus on a shared vision. San Manuel Landing is the result of many conversations and deliberations with the City of San Bernardino, the City of Highland, and the San Bernardino International Airport Authority. An investment with long-term benefits to serve the neighboring businesses and surrounding communities. The Inland Empire remains to be one of the strongest and robust markets for supply chain and logistics development in the country, serving approximately 24 million people in Southern California region and beyond. To go over our project details and specifics, I would like to introduce David Drake from Trammell Crow. He's our development consultant, and he'll be talking about the next slide.
Good evening, city staff. Good evening, city staff. My name is Dave Drake, and had the pleasure to work on this project, and also wanted to just also express my appreciation of the city staff. You know, Oliver, you, Elizabeth, everybody has been a pleasure to work with and provided a lot of great input on the project. So let's talk about the project. It's a speculative industrial project, but conceived and designed unlike any we've had the pleasure to participate in. Why? That's simple to address. The San Manuel tribal leadership has directed the design team to create a project that does not compromise, to be harmonious with the community, be respectful of the history of San Bernardino Airport and the tribe's presence in San Bernardino. Next slide. Meeting the typical project requirements of a 1 million square foot project isn't new. I mean, it has employee parking, it has truck docks, it has trailer parking. All have been incorporated, and that's fairly typical on a project permitted by other developers. But San Manuel wanted to be a leader in the industrial projects, and so they have authorized additional property, additional tribal funds to incorporate community-oriented features, including the Water Tower Park, an iconic symbol of the airport, and additional employee parking separated from trucking operations. But the future of the industrial project is also part of San Manuel's vision. So they've included features not seen on a site plan before, including staging focused on electric trucking to assist in the elimination of vehicle stacking on adjoining streets. The project will also be heavily focused on renewable energy design that exceeds regulatory mandated equipment for solar or green energy use. It's just part of the tribe's vision for responsible industrial design. I mean, they truly want to be a leader in this project. They want to be able to set a standard for other people to aspire to. And I really think they've hit it. Design elements, some of the, so once you, let's go to the next slide too. Some of the design elements on the project. The project includes development, some of the features of the proposed development include the community water tower park, which we've talked about previously, providing a place for employees and citizens to appreciate the history of the site and to accommodation of the bike trail in the community's master plan. San Manuel was also instrumental in the landscape design and screening proposed along 3rd Street, developed by another design team member, IMA, a firm that specializes in parks and urban design. Not only did San Manuel's vision include great landscaping to complement the project, but they also wanted the screen wall to incorporate images of the community and the historic history of the site. Oliver talked about that earlier. This is a first for me, and once again, being driven by San Manuel's vision for leadership an example of responsible industrial design. And you can also see in this slide here pictures of the Water Tower Park. San Manuel was pleased to include this feature and appreciate the input received on the importance of the water tower to the community. Next slide. Obviously, the project implements the city's vision for the property, which they've done. Let's go to the next slide. But let's talk about some of the project benefits. It's pretty obvious. First off, this project is going to be providing jobs. And the other thing about the project benefits, as I said, this is going to be a model, we feel, for other projects in the future. It's going to be very difficult for other people maybe to compete with what this project has, but it's a green project. It's going to be built to the LEED specifications and Cal Green specification standards, that are typically utilized in many projects in California. But in addition to those standards, we're going to be including additional solar energy requirements in the project, not mandated by the city, but outside of that to be, once again, a leader in the industry. We're going to have a design that's going to accommodate future electric truck technologies, electric vehicle charging infrastructure, green energy material handling equipment shall be utilized. Transportation demand management program is going to be utilized, low energy LED lighting, and enhanced landscaping and drought tolerant plants throughout. It's going to be a great project. And once again, the tribal leadership has been involved. They want this project to be at the pinnacle of industrial design, and once again, to be a role model for other projects that are going to come after this. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Peter. He's going to want to provide a video and talk a little bit more about it.
Yep. Thank you so much, David. Commissioners, we all have a stake in San Manuel Landing's success. At San Manuel, we stand on record as a loyal, dedicated member of this community. Now, to give you a better sense of what our dedication looks like, we've sent a video to your planning team, and if you can, Oliver or Stephanie, perhaps play the video. It's a short 90-second clip. Thank you for that, Stephanie. Listening, then acting on our beliefs, that's what San Manuel is known for. I appreciate the Planning Commission giving us this opportunity tonight to present our vision for San Manuel Landing. And I thank you again, the city staff, in your review of our development application.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and move to public comments. Were there any public comments that needed to be read into the record?
We do have a number of public comments. I can start with one. We do have Mary Ellen on with us. She would like to give public comment. She is on our list for a 3-minute public comment. Mary Ellen, would you like to go ahead and unmute yourself so that you can give your public comment?
Certainly, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to do that. My name's Mary Ellen Westerberg. I want to start off by saying I'm in complete support of San Manuel's Landing project. I've been a resident of Highland for 30 years, but beyond that, I'm also the Chief Operations Officer for SAC Health System, which is in this neighborhood. If you don't know, SAC sits on the northwest corner of Old Norton Air Force Base, and we actually function out of what was once the medical facility for the Air Force Base. And so it's been my personal observation and via my association with the clinic that San Manuel has been a conscientious partner in the community and can certainly be entrusted with an investment like this. This is a great opportunity for me to share with a group of this caliber some of the things that you may not know in terms of the partnership that we've experienced as well as the community with San Manuel. And just to give you a few concrete examples, which I think are really important to share, during the COVID pandemic, San Manuel provided weekly meals to all of our essential healthcare workers. San Manuel also gifted us with the use of multiple billboards to provide information on our COVID testing hotline and services. And through San Manuel's generous donations, SAC has been able to purchase the ultra-low freezers that are required to actually store the COVID vaccines. So a lot of this we would have been challenged to do without the help of San Manuel. They've been involved in a lot of other things that have impacted the community and the medical care that we can provide to that community. So I did want to just sort of round out by saying it's been our experience that San Manuel is extremely responsive to and interested in the health of the community, and I have no doubt that they will execute this project with the same thoughtful precision that myself as a resident of the community as well as a professional in the community have witnessed with a lot of the other projects that I've seen. So I really appreciate the opportunity and just really am honored to be able to stand up for and give my support. And like Mr. Mateo said, and I can vouch for it just again because of my my time in the community, they have been a loyal and dedicated member of this community. So thank you for the opportunity to share that.
Thank you so much.
Vice Chair, I do have a number of voicemails along with live callers who would like to participate. Do you have a preference of which one we go over first?
Let's go with the live callers first. I know they've been waiting quite some time, and then we'll go with recorded messages.
Understood. If you'll give me a moment, I'll get the first one on the line.
Thank you.
Commission, I have our first caller. Her name is Margaret Hill. Margaret, go ahead.
Good evening, commissioners. I support San Manuel Landing because I support San Manuel Band of Mission Indians. They have been very involved in the community, and they have been very involved with our schools in the local area. I know some medical facilities have been mentioned, but I do know Dignity Health has been good recipients of the good work they have done. of the beautiful facilities on the west end of San Bernardino is the subacute unit right in front of Community Hospital of San Bernardino. They have brought joy to those who have to be a part of the residents in that program. Also, they do a newsletter. I'm in the neighborhood, and I get this newsletter where they talk about our schools and other noted events in the community. And they have just always been good partners for San Bernardino schools, the hospitals, the community, and for that reason, I support the San Manuel Landing.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hill.
So much for giving me an opportunity to speak.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hill. Always a pleasure hearing from you. Thank you.
I'll get the next caller on the line.
Thank you.
Commission, we have our next caller on the line. His name is Randy Possinger. Randy, go ahead.
Thank you, Commission. My name is Randy Possinger. As Stephanie said, I'm Executive Director for Philanthropy at Lone University Health, and I want to thank you for your time and your service. So Lone University Health's friendship with San Manuel Band and Mission Indians stretches over a century. And in our relationship, the tribe has demonstrated time and time again they have a vested interest in the health and well-being of our region and make it the best possible that it possibly can be. And that's because we call this our home. So personally, I'm in favor of the San Manuel Landing Project. And I thought it would be helpful to share some of the highlights that I have seen firsthand of how the tribe's actions have impacted our community in a very positive way. So they were the founding sponsors of our Possibilities program over a decade ago. And because of their support, today this program helps over 7,000 disabled members, including 1,000 veterans, regain independence, mobility, purpose, and quality of life. They led the way in the expansion of our cancer center, helping ensure comprehensive cancer treatments are available for all types of cancers right here in our community. And our partnership has inspired other innovations as well. So through the support of the tribal members, we were able to develop an innovative program that helps children and their families manage chronic illnesses. And this program significantly reduces missed days of school, work, and hospitalizations due to health issues related to these chronic illnesses. And as a result, this treatment is now covered by insurance, which is incredible and is expanding nationally. So recognizing that good health requires more than just access to quality care, San Manuel partnered with Loma Linda, the city of San Bernardino, the school districts, others to create the San Manuel Gateway College. And so located in the heart of San Bernardino, this unique educational model offers youth from our inner city and surrounding area health certificate training programs. Not only does it help them launch their career in healthcare through good jobs, but it also inspires them to continue to their career growth through education, and most importantly, provides them hope. And so San Manuel has invested heavily in our children's hospital, including a landmark and transformational gift of $25 million to our new hospital. And so this new hospital anchors our healthcare and education system, serving well over 1 million patient visits every year. And it will also serve as our only level 1 trauma center, only children's hospital. So imagine the struggling families, and particularly those with limited resources, and what that would mean if they had to travel outside the area for this level of care. And that was a really important part of San Manuel's investment in the hospital, and this has literally been a lifesaver. So it's because of San Manuel and their investment in our community and in us that I've been able to share what I've been able to share with you has been possible. And this impact would be felt for generations to come. So in my experience, whether it's education, healthcare, or economic growth, the tribe has always focused on the best interests of our community and gone above and beyond. So it's exciting to see that they continue to invest in our community. I trust that whether it is San Manuel Landing Project or another project, it will benefit our community and will be something that we all can be proud of. So I appreciate the opportunity to share with you this morning or this evening, and appreciate you listening to my comments.
Thank you so much, Randy. We can move to the next public comment.
Commissioners, I have our next caller on the line. His name is Luis Portillo. Luis, go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Luis Portillo. I'm with the Inland Empire Economic Partnership. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this evening, speaking in support of the San Manuel Landing Project. The San Manuel Band of Mission Indians ties to our region extends for hundreds of years. Even before European settlers, the indigenous people of California lived in accordance with the environment, holding sacred everything the land provided. The tribe has shown time and time again to be a great stewards and leaders in our community. They work tirelessly to improve the lives of the people in our communities. This project represents a significant economic opportunity. As you all know, the COVID-19 pandemic has devastated our economy, and while San Bernardino County has not been shielded from that impact, it has not experienced the types of economic falls that other regions like LA County or Orange County have felt. The primary reason for that is the logistics sector in our region. It is a sector whose importance is only going to continue to grow as time goes on, as e-commerce continues to expand. So that's why this project is so important. The types of jobs that this project will bring are ones that are going to be around for years to come. But equally important is that it's going to provide employment opportunities locally. Too many of our residents have to commute for hours every day to get to work. This project means that families are going to be able to spend more time together as opposed to spending time in the car. It's also going to serve as a model for how that project can be done environmentally friendly. It's going to pave the way to make the logistics industry more sustainable and environmentally friendly long term. I want to thank the San Manuel team for their leadership on this project, and it's good for our region, and I urge you to support it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Portillo. And we're working on the next public comment as well.
Our next caller is Alex Zamora. Alex, go ahead.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the time to speak. I'm very much in favor of this project moving forward as well. I'm a member of LIUNA, the Labor's International Union of North America. We're involved in building a lot of projects similar to these. We've seen how these projects are so vital to the areas that they're being built for so many different reasons. One of the benefits of these is local hire. Just like the last speaker spoke about, it keeps our members and everybody involved in the building off of the dangerous roads commuting to other counties wherever the work is. I have a brother-in-law in the trades as well, the building trades. Constantly he commutes to Los Angeles, Ventura, San Diego. That's a lot of time away from his family, away from being involved in the children's activities after work. And on top of that, it's really bad for his physical and mental health. And we see it all the time with all the workers that commute. And on top of all these benefits, another huge benefit that everyone always overlooks is being able to work so close to home. People are going to be able to spend their money in the actual communities that they live in. They're going to become more involved. And it's going to be great, again, for the physical and mental health of our workers and everybody involved in that. So again, I am in full support of this project, and I hope we can move it forward so we can start building something beautiful in the area. Thank you so much. God, have a great evening.
Thank you, Mr. Zamora, and thank you, LIUNA organization. Can we have the next public comment once they're ready?
Commissioners, we have Bill Quisenberry. Bill, go ahead.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Bill Quisenberry. I'm a member of LIUNA, Labor's International Union of North America, and I'm in full support of the San Manuel proposed project, The Landing. LIUNA has approximately 32,000 members in Southern California, with thousands that reside in the Inland Empire, and a great number that live in San Bernardino. This project will enable our members to work close to home, most likely keep them off the freeways, and then have more time to spend with their families. The project will provide good paying wages with benefits to further sustain our members' livelihood. And along with the wages and benefits is another aspect not mentioned very often. Approving this project will enable our state-approved apprentices an opportunity to gain more construction experience. As you may know, apprenticeship is a systematic earn-as-you-learn program where on-the-job training is supplemented with classroom instruction. Apprentices must complete a number of hours of practical job experience to qualify them into completing their apprenticeship. Out of our construction membership, approximately 2,400 are active apprentices. And so during these uncertain economic times, every construction site is a vitally important opportunity for those apprentices to learn the trade. This project, if approved, would be another opportunity. Also, the median age of a construction worker is 42, possibly higher in California, meaning less time remaining on the job for our experienced journey workers, and in turn, creating a greater urgency to bring in the new. Training new laborers to replace the old ones will mean our infrastructure and projects like this one can continue to be built and be maintained by a skilled, trained workforce. Lastly, the contractors that employ our members and who have partnered with responsible developers like Trammell Crow Company know that a skilled, well-trained workforce means productivity and safety are optimized. And that will likely happen if this project gets approved. All issues considered, this project is a good fit for the community and could not come at a more critical time. I ask that you approve the project tonight. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you, sir, Mr. Quisenberry. We'll be moving on to the next. I believe this is the last final caller, live caller, for the public comments. So we'll have them presenting momentarily.
Commissioners, our last live caller, we have Thomas Ruiz. Thomas, go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair and members of the Planning Commission. My name is Thomas Ruiz. I'm a business agent for Laborers Local 783 located here in San Bernardino. We represent over 1,700 men and women, many of whom live in the city of San Bernardino, who work in the construction industry, building much of our needed infrastructure and commercial development. I'm on the phone tonight to support the staff's recommendation of adopting resolution number 2021-003 for the landing by San Manuel. LIUNA is proud to support this project, which will provide hundreds of jobs to skilled construction craft laborers and other tradesmen. As always, LIUNA is a strong supporter of developments that provide jobs with quality wages, health benefits, retirement, and the opportunity to advance. This provides a lot of work opportunity for local residents to seek employment opportunities in the construction industry. A project like this one is a lifeline for our members to continue working during this difficult time to maintain their health insurance, which is extremely important. As COVID has shut down businesses and halted some development, many of our members rely on this type of industrial warehousing to stay afloat. This development will improve the local infrastructure, bringing physical benefits to the city, and most importantly, jobs to the city of San Bernardino. We respectfully ask the Planning Commission to carefully consider the project benefits and the jobs that the residents will have gained from this project. Thank you for your consideration. Have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Ruiz. Next, we'll be moving on to the recorded voice messages.
Hi there. I'd like to comment for the agenda item on the Lansing warehouse. I believe it's the third public comment item on today's Planning Commission meeting. My name is Andrea Vidalre, ANDREA VIDAURRE. I'm with the Warehouse Worker Resource Center. We work with many residents throughout the Inland Empire and in San Bernardino that are ununionized in the logistics industry. I'm calling firstly because I'm very concerned about this project. We believe that it's moving way too fast. It's alarming to hear that a full draft environmental impact report was created just 1 or 2 weeks after an NOP was put out. Feels like it was already prepared, and then our comments came in afterwards. Soonly after the draft environmental report, now you have the final, which also hasn't allowed for much public comment or time to really review it. It actually makes me wonder how many of the comments did they look into, and what is the difference between the draft and the final EIR. One of our biggest concerns on why there hasn't been enough public input is because our concerns have not been responded to at all. We would like to know what are the guarantees that this project is going to bring, what are the environmental benefits that this project is going to try to achieve, and what is the impact going to be to the community. A project of this size is sure to have significant and unavoidable impacts. And so to mitigate them, we want to see every feasible mitigation measure applied, and we don't see that right now. And so the question to the Planning Commission and to the planning staff is how is this project going to improve before it goes forward in front of City Council? We are very adamant about these types of promises to the community being guarantees that community can legally enforce. We also know that the airport has a role in this, and we would like to clear that up. What exactly is the role of the airport for this project, given that it's going to be on airport land, and what kind of mitigation will they be providing as well for this project? We hope to continue the dialogue with the planning department and the City Council, along with the development applicant. Because if this has to go through an overriding consideration, then it's going to be really important to exactly promises that is going to be given. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm leaving a message for the landing project. My name is Angie Banderas. I'd like to say hello, board members. Good evening. As a resident, I am devastated to get the messages and informational papers that I received, and information that this landing project is even being developed. More and more warehouses just are occupying our land. When do we show some respect for Mother Earth and build something that will bring green space, no pollution, no traffic, and please, simply, let's stop destroying our earth. We ask you to please stop selling out our lungs for profit. This warehouse and the pollution it will bring lifelong impacts to our community, and not good. Or have you no regard for the folks dying from respiratory issues here from our region every day? I hope you all start spreading some wealth to our communities the right way and stop enabling them to these polluters, developers, and stop enabling them to poison our bodies and demolishing our future, our healthy future for our children and those to come. We want clean air, a sustainable, healthy community, and jobs with livable wages. Please, please stop this project. Enough is enough. Thank you.
this message is in regarding tonight's meeting, regarding the San Manuel Tribe's landing project. My name is spelled Edward, last name ORN as in Nancy, ELAS as in Sam. And my public comment is this. My name is Edward Ornelas, President and CEO of the Inland Empire Regional Chamber of Commerce. I'm proud to offer my support to San Manuel Landing. The San Manuel tribe has been a long supporter of the San Bernardino community, and I want to applaud them for their efforts in continuing to choose projects that offer an environmentally conscious vision and long-term sustainable impact. San Manuel Landing will be a great addition to the community landscape, which will also coincide nicely with all of the recent growth of San Bernardino International Airport. A new San Bernardino is upon us. The time to act and seize our moments of growth is now. I want to thank the San Manuel tribe for their leadership and investment in the future of San Bernardino. They have my support. Thank you.
Hi, this message is regarding the public hearing for the landing development. My name is Catherine Lopez. That's KATHRYN LOPEZ, and I am a resident of San Bernardino. My comment is just that the San Bernardino Valley already has a significant air pollution problem. Personally, both of my daughters suffer from asthma, and my youngest has often required the use of either an inhaler or a nebulizer, even after just playing outside during the day. According to the State of the Air 2019 report, vulnerable residents of San Bernardino already suffer from pediatric and adult asthma, cardiovascular disease, lung cancer, and chronic obstructive pulmonary disorder. And I just want to know what type of guarantees does this project plan on providing the residents of our city regarding cleaning up the air that is already severely impacted and that has already severely impacted the local residents. We need a sustainable development in our city. Our community deserves better policies, a CBA that actually benefits the communities and citizens of these communities. And for quality development to be created in our neighborhoods. What we do not need is rushed developments that are just moving too fast, that need to adequately address the environment and the community members that already live here. So thank you very much.
This is our last public comment.
Planning Commission, item 4, Jose Garcia, JOSEGARCIA. Good evening, Planning Commission. My name is Jose Garcia, and I am a lifelong member of the Laborers Union. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this item tonight. I want to speak in support of this project for a few reasons. First of all, we have a great contractor who has committed to providing good paying jobs and benefits, which in these uncertain times are so needed by workers and their families to move forward through these pandemic times. I don't need to tell you how important it is to have health benefits also. Another reason that the project would help our community is that it keeps our tax dollars local. The money would revolve amongst the community through grocery stores, through rent, through mortgage payments, through vendors, which helps stimulate our local economy, which is much needed. For all these reasons, I would like you to move this project forward. Thank you for your time and good night.
Thank you. At this time, if the commission has any questions for the applicant or any comments, I'll open the floor.
Vice Chair Jones.
My apologies.
Vice Chair Jones, this is Albert. Would you like to give the applicant an opportunity or staff an opportunity to respond to the comments given?
Yes, absolutely. If the applicant has anything to add or any comments, or staff for the matter as well, we'll entertain that now.
If I may start, and then maybe we could have, I believe Tracy from TMB Planning is with us as well. But so in looking at the comments again, any changes that or any comments as it relates to the environmental impact report, environmental analysis, essentially, you know, they'll need to kind of provide their evidence to the contrary, I guess. So you know, just saying the air is not clean, what are we going to do? That's not necessarily a quantifiable objective, if you will. So what we will do is there's been a couple. There was one from the Warehouse Resource Center, I believe. We talked about how we're going to apply the mitigation measures, mitigation monitoring reporting program. That would be the same as with all conditions of approval as the project moves forward. The table has a timeline as to at what point that measure is handled, and what is the responsible department or agency that covers that. As an example, if it says prior to the issuance of a grading permit, prior to the issuance of certificate of occupancy, prior to the obtaining your regulatory permits. So there's so what we will do is we will take some of these comments here, the ones that are applicable. There isn't really a technical response other than pointing to them where that analysis was done. As it relates, there were a couple of comments that related to air quality. And so there is an exhaustive set of regulations from the Air Quality Management District that our EIR incorporated, analyzed the project in comparison to what the thresholds are. And we are bound to stay within those thresholds, and our EIR demonstrates that with the implementation of the mitigation monitoring and reporting program. So we will include a brief response to that, to tonight's comments as it relates to air quality, as part of our package for the final EIR that would go to council if the commission does choose to make that recommendation to go forward. So that was really the, I kind of wanted to give you the global, you know, what are we going to do with these comments kind of thing. Nothing was mentioned that has not been analyzed in our report. What we will ask TMB Planning to do is to direct us in writing where that analysis has been completed, what the conclusions and recommendations have been, and what the mitigation measures are to that regard. Tracy, did you want to add anything to that, please?
Sure. So, and thank you. My name's Tracy Zinn with the consulting firm TMB Planning, and we prepared the environmental impact report. There were a couple of comments that I think warrant a response. I heard a comment regarding the timeline between the close of the comment period for the notice of preparation and the release of the draft EIR. There is no requirement in state law regarding the amount of time that needs to elapse between those two occurrences. The only requirement is that for any comments that were submitted on the notice of preparation, that the EIR addresses the comments, and that was done. And there's a table in the draft EIR of all the commenters. And as I mentioned, all of the comments were addressed. Regarding air pollution, one of the technical studies that support the EIR is a health risk assessment, and all of the conclusions for health risk, for carcinogenic risk, and all the other health risks were found to fall below the significance thresholds that the Air Quality Management District publishes for every air quality pollutant. The last comment I can address is one of the commenters asked what the project was doing to improve air quality in the region. At the commission's pleasure, I can go through the list, but if you would refer to the final EIR in response H1-21, there is a very long list of all of the features that the project includes as part of its design, including the bike trail, the sidewalks, the provision of a bus stop, and many other items that will help reduce vehicular travel to and from the site and help alternative modes of transportation. And there's also a long list of all of the features associated with electric truck charging, solar panels, et cetera. And as a CEQA consultant, I can tell you this project has gone a very long way to incorporate design features that would reduce fossil fuel usage and associated air pollutants.
Thank you. Does the commission have any questions for staff or the applicant at this time, or any comments? We'll open up the floor. Commissioner Lopez.
Me? Did you call me, Anthony?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. You had a lot of union people, labor groups, speaking well of this project. I can understand that. And hopefully it's what they say, that a lot of their members are residents of the city, because I would like to see that. So is San Manuel saying that they're committed across the board to use local construction contractors, painters, landscapers, electrical, plumbing, and all of those things, furnishings and everything that is needed to put this project, that they would look locally first before they go out somewhere else?
Peter, if you're able to answer that question.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Our main goal is to work with local contractors in the area and to help, provide those jobs that are sorely needed these days. So absolutely, our number one priority is get people back to work in the region.
Okay, because we appreciate you bringing this proposal, and I think there's no question about all of your involvement and contributions to the community, large and small. Another question that I have is in the PowerPoint, when it was talking about benefits to the community, it mentioned neighborhood safety. Could you give me some specifics of what you mean by neighborhood safety? By what means are they going to either maintain or improve neighborhood safety?
For the neighborhood safety portion, I'll give that one to David Drake, our fee developer. He can kind of go through the technical aspects of that.
Well, thank you for reaching out to me on that. So the neighborhood safety really has to do with many of the features that are incorporated, such as, of course, the way that the screening and the security systems are installed around the property, would be the lighting that's going to be installed around the property. One of the things that's also very important is that when these projects are designed, we take a really close look at the way that the landscaping is created, so we don't create places in the design that illegal activity can occur. And so it's a very interactive study when we put these projects together to create a healthy environment, so that once again, traffic, vehicle traffic, pedestrian traffic, and in this case here, we are taking a look at bicycle traffic in the facility. They interact properly, and once again, we don't create unsafe conditions either for the community or employees, and of course the residences. So that's all been looked at. It's been studied not only by the architectural team, but also the civil engineering team. And it's just an ongoing process. Once again, it's good design. Much of the stuff, many of the items that we try to address are actually part of the building code. But it's very important for us. The other things like incorporating, like even for worker safety, the skylights on the roof, they're going to have, we refer to them typically as burglar bars. One of the issues is, people have a tendency to fall through skylights of all the things you can imagine. I mean, those are the kind of specification items that we include in our project. when it comes to the design of the facility itself, we're very conscious of the security of the people operating the building. And so, we put special features in the design of that, even of course, the incorporation of ADA standards for ramps into the building and the docks and everything about the project. Once again, it's an exercise in following OSHA established guidelines and architectural standards that are needed for creating a safe environment for people to work and to interact with the building and the facility in this location.
Commissioner Lopez, if I may add, one of the things that they also incorporate, they abut the city of Highlands, so they are going to be working in conjunction with the city of Highlands to do a lot of improvements to the intersections and connections, so that way their bicycles are able to properly cross, and there's not an issue of, the trucks potentially hurting somebody as they're crossing. So they are implementing those additional pedestrian-friendly intersections where they're able to cross from one jurisdiction to another jurisdiction. So those are also things that they're incorporating. Omnitrans is requesting also a bus to station to be incorporated into the project. So to the south of 3rd Street on Victoria, that's something that's going to be incorporated to help with that pedestrian-friendly interaction between the project itself and the neighbors.
The proposal states that you're building the warehouse not for a specific tenant. And I guess it's going to have a big sign that says available across it. It's a good location, I think, because it's very close to the airport, and the airport is becoming a transit, so to speak, place. What is San Manuel doing right now, anticipating future occupancy to attract someone who would be very interested in such a large warehouse? What are you guys doing?
Well, let me try to address that. The project is it's a spec industrial project. It is not focused on an airport user. Airport users are not, while that is a segment out there, that is not the primary focus. This project is focused on basically meeting, light industrial users, warehousers, people who, of course, are shipping products in and out of the country, and to, of course, to service the needs of the community. This is a very, it is not designed at all to service the airport industry or any of those kind of uses. That's not it. In fact, there's no direct connection between this project and the airport other than the fact that it's on a piece of property adjacent to the airport. So, this is a straightforward speculative warehouse designed for light industrial users, such as warehousers, distribution centers. That's what it's designed for. And it's also designed to take advantage of the latest technologies, which also reduce the use of fossil fuels and other things that basically cost warehousers money. So they are attracted to a project like this that reduces their need for energy. Energy use is, it's very expensive. So they're looking forward to be involved in a project like this. That's one of the big attractions, a modern facility that makes use of modern technologies to reduce their operating costs.
Once the building is built, how long do you anticipate before you start getting interested tenants?
Well, if I could answer that, Peter, I'll answer that for you. I think that there's already interest in the project. They just were waiting to see whether or not the city will be able to allow us to proceed in the project. Once we have the approval from the city, there'll be a lot more interest in the project, but there's already interest in it.
Okay. My last question, and I guess it's directed more to Oliver, because there were some residents, I think there were 2 residents who were concerned about the pollution. And I think we need to be careful when we address that, because I don't think we're in a position to diminish any of their concerns. Because I don't know of anybody who doesn't live in San Bernardino that doesn't know San Bernardino has a lot of pollution. And I know that some of the residential areas around the base, Del Rosa and some of the others, for the longest time, they've been trying to get I guess, awareness increase or attention as to the pollution that is already there and is probably in their eyes, in their observations, being increased by the airport and so forth. So I can understand their concerns. And I think it is quantifiable, it is measurable. There are a lot of scientific research out there about pollution, especially in pollution where certain industries are located, freeways, highways, and they usually do impact low-income residents. So that's just a comment. I know that's a very difficult thing because this project on the surface looks fantastic and will have a lot of benefits for a lot of, but that issue of environmental, and I don't know how well your department responded to some of those concerns. One of the commentators said that they had been trying to get feedback or responses and they were not getting anything. So I know it's a difficult thing to balance, but it is quantifiable, it is measurable, and we always need to consider that as well. Thank you.
Welcome. I agree. We do analyze that. Coming from, I remember the days before, with the smog days, when in the LA basin, when the sky used to be green and dark brown. And so things have gotten better, thank goodness, over time for that. And so we do monitor what Air Quality Management District, what their standards are and the regulations are. We work to ensure that that's included in our analysis. And you're right. I mean, the conditions are what the conditions are, and all we can do is do the best to reduce air emissions or monitor the uses. That's a bit we do what we can and what we need to.
As long as we do the best that we can, because I think we need to be held to the same standard. A lot of times, I get the impression that we hold residents, they have to have the research or based on this or based on that. Yet they're the residents who live there, so they see it every day. And we need to have the same analysis or experts or the research behind us saying that it's okay or it's going to be mitigated.
And I agree, and we agree wholeheartedly on that. That is why we utilize the services of our kind of independent counsel, if you will. We hired a separate environmental firm to review the documents and the analysis that was prepared by the project consultant. We also had the environmental team from the city attorney's office review it also. And so I think that we can say that we exhausted our analysis throughout the document. And so both our third-party review and the city attorney's office, again, looking for on the project from the city, protecting the city's interest, just to make sure that the analysis was done correctly and unbiased. So for that purpose, that's why we've been doing that with our large projects.
And maybe as the second step, we ought to make sure that information gets to those residents so that they know everything that has gone into it in surveying this. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Does the commission have any further questions for the applicant or staff at this point?
I have a question. I do, Commissioner. Chair.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Commissioner Carroll, you go ahead. I'll speak after.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, has the city approved a warehouse of this size before? No,
the closest one would be the one that's down on Waterman, the former golf course over there. That was about $1.2 million.
Okay.
So, yes.
And then now this one will also be at the same conditions of approval as that yes. one, or similar?
Well, this one actually it has similar conditions of approval, similar mitigation measures. But I would say that this project, from a design standpoint, from an implementation of other features, I think is superior to the other project. I think if you look at the renderings, I mean, I'll say we all drive up and down Waterman and we see what the streetscape is. I am confident that you are going to see a great noticeable difference should this project be approved and move forward. You will see a difference. I go on the record and say I guarantee that.
Okay.
Right. So this would be something that we would hold a higher standard going forward for other warehouse development.
That is correct.
In the city. Okay. And then just on the truck idling, since I know there's not a tenant right now, is there a proposed truck route? Or is it off the 210 or is it off the 10?
The city actually does not have a truck route system. Believe it or not. I mean, we do have a lot of trucks, but there are not designated truck routes in the city.
One of the things that the project is incorporating is a staging area on site to the south of 3rd Street on Victoria. There's going to be a staging area on the property itself, and that's to help with that truck idling on the street. So that way, as vehicles are coming in, they're actually going in, staging, and then immediately leaving, and that way you prevent that idling on the streets. So that's one of the additional factors they're taking into account.
But so at this time, we still don't know, as far as like any truck movement or anything leaving the site, which direction, which freeway, anything like that.
I presume, and maybe I don't recall. Tracy, do you by chance remember the distribution of traffic on 3rd Street? Is it? I know the two choices are east and west to get to the freeway.
I can look that up if you give me a minute.
Okay. So we have the 210 that's to the that wraps around, that's to the east, right? And I don't recall what the distance is from the project site to that to the freeway over there. I'm going to guess that it's probably within 2 miles. Peter, do you recall?
I don't recall the exact distance, Oliver, but neighborhood of 2 to 4, I think, would be for the 210.
And I have the distribution, Oliver, if you want it.
Thank you.
Okay. So the truck distribution, the inbound, most of the inbound trucks are actually coming from the 210 on 5th Street, not on 3rd Street, on 5th Street.
Okay.
To Victoria, and then taking Victoria south to the entrance. On the exit, the traffic distribution is about 40% on 5th Street and 40% on 3rd Street.
Okay.
And then
and that's going east?
It's going east towards the 210, and the balance would be going west.
Okay.
The 20%, the extra 20% would be going west.
Okay, so we're saying that 20% is going west and 80% is going to the east?
Correct.
Okay.
So with that, will there be like designated turning lanes, right, left, turn pockets created in the improvements?
There'll be restriping on 3rd, yes. And any improvements on 3rd would require approval by the City of Highland. 3rd Street is completely in the City of Highland. It's not in the City of San Bernardino.
Okay. Okay.
And
Thank you.
If I may add to that also, you're asking about improvements. The airport is currently, they're in the process of finalizing a specific plan that kind of covers land uses from the northern edge of the airport, or 3rd Street, where this project is, up to 5th Street. And then it also goes from Tippecanoe towards the east to the freeway. And so so it does talk, there's some rezoning that's involved with that. And then also it includes a pretty significant amount of infrastructure improvements. I think Peter spoke to that in his earlier presentation in terms of the street improvements, drainage, and kind of the backbone, if you will. And I believe that in time, once that's moves forward and developed, I believe that a majority of the drivers will probably more than the 80% will probably go towards the east, because it would be more convenient.
Okay. Thank you.
You are welcome.
Does the commission have any further questions? I believe Commissioner Chang had a question.
Thank you. I'd just like to say, first of all, I appreciate Seminole Tribe paying homage to the history of Norton Air Force Base and utilizing the existing water tower site. That water tower is such a dominant feature on that street. When I drove down, it's a very flat, a monotone streetscape, except for that water tower just pops up, as you can see as you drive down. I'd appreciate the design solution utilizing keeping the water tower, however way you guys can do in your design solution, and also add the green, having the water tower park and the add the greening of the site. So those are great. And then and also in a sense, I see that and I appreciate how the tribe it's how this is in alignment with the park that it's it's in alignment with Native American spirit and respect towards the nature and sustainable environment. And second part is that I'd like to say that I do see this project is crucial in providing the significant demands of e-commerce, supply chain, and logistics enterprises. We, as the city of San Bernardino, which is an industrial town, is currently very well positioned, if you think about it, in this economic opportunity with in-place infrastructure and the existing urban infill for adaptive reuse in sense. And I do see that this will be a very innovative warehouse with knowing the technology we employ and going to employ. I would like to ask Seminole Tribe to consider, understandably from the PowerPoint, you're going to achieve a LEED silver equivalent on this building. And knowing how you're going to employ innovative architecture design features and to achieve USGBC LEED, perhaps you can take a notch up, go for LEED Gold, even LEED Platinum. You don't have to get LEED certification, but be equivalent to that level. I understand it's a bit, I may be asking a bit too much, but I would like to ask you folks just to consider the innovative opportunity and synergy that you can open with this project into the future of the supply chain industry as well as giving back to the environment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oliver, you mind if I take that one, Oliver?
No, go ahead.
Yes. Thank you, Commissioner Chen, for all the comments. We've been working with the design team on the water tower park. Our vision is to create a sense of place that not only beautifies the area, but pays homage to the community's history, its history, during wartime and history with the Norton Air Force Base. So I'm so happy to hear that you're happy with those, images and renderings of the water tower park. Regarding LEED, I want to pass that question off to Dave Drake, and maybe Dave, you can kind of talk about the building specifications.
Thank you, Peter. Yes, let's talk about LEED and Cal Green. The interesting thing about building projects in California is now, of course, we have the Cal Green standards that basically supplant a lot of the LEED requirements. Basically, if you gain a building permit nowadays, pretty much it's going to be a LEED silver from day one, just simply because that's what California building codes incorporate. The question is, do you want to try to go past those standards in order to get, say, like a LEED Gold? So that, once again, maybe 10, 12 years ago, that was a really big thing, to be able to put your LEED Gold certification on the building. That was a big a sales thing as far as telling users of your building, hey, come to us, we're going to save you energy because we have LEED Gold or LEED Platinum, and we're able to save you money in your operations because this building is very energy efficient. That was a big goal. So I will tell you this, that right now, you're correct. The project is designed to meet basically a LEED Silver standard, even though we're not going for the LEED Silver itself as far as the actual awarding of that.
Yeah, that's a good LEED Silver equivalent. Sounds great.
Yes, but I will tell you that the tribe's goal is actually to be better than that, and we've got incorporated into the project the game plan is, yes, to meet the LEED standard requirements, as far as the goal line is what we're headed for. But based on what we're currently pursuing in the project, we actually expect to surpass that. So, we have absolutely no issues in saying that, we're going to construct the building to be in substantial conformance, say, with the LEED standard requirements. But like I said, right now we're working with the tribe to actually, once again, to be a role model for other industrial users. And so I'm actually very excited about to have an owner of the project that interested in the environment, that they're pursuing technologies they're not even being mandated to provide. So I want to see where they're going to take this. But like I said, they want to be a leader in the industry. And so, yeah, I would say to everybody that I don't think there's an issue with saying that, the project will be constructed to LEED standards. But let's just see where it ends up. Like I said, I think you're going to be very impressed by it.
Thank you.
It's going to be a great project.
That's all I have. Thank you very much for your time.
Commissioner Wilbur?
Yes, I'm not typically a big fan of big warehouses, but I'm impressed. The forethought and the expression of thinking out of the box is astronomical. It's been very interesting watching and listening to everything on the presentation. It certainly covered everything I thought would cover any questions there is. So I'm impressed. Especially with, like I said, thinking out of the box. Very, very nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments or questions from the commission at this time? Commissioner Flores?
Thank you. Thank you, Manuel, for the great presentation. Certainly appreciate the investments you have all made in our community. But to be frank, I am concerned of bringing a warehouse this large to the city. I grew up in the First Ward and born in the 90s. So in response to Oliver's comments about air quality, I've seen air quality get worse since the more I've grown up in this neighborhood. I took the time to look at the EIR. I'm a practicing planner, so this is some of the stuff I do. And I wanted to confirm, so the closing comment period ended in January 6th of this year, and the final EIR came out less than 30 days after. My question is it common for EIRs to be finalized this quickly, given how large this project is?
I would say when you assemble a team as we did, yes. T&B planning and PlaceWorks are on the upper echelon of environmental planning firms. And we, there was a lot of sleep lost. There were a lot of people hours that were invested in this. We had our regular weekly meetings with the entire development team. Where are we? Who's reviewing what's being prepared? And so this was was it with a schedule? Was it aggressive? Yes. Did we cut any corners? Absolutely not. So there's a lot of opportunities for overlap. There was comments earlier about how could this have been started if we were still in this other period. There's things you can do while you're waiting for comments. You could be doing traffic counts. You could be doing air quality analysis. You could be doing your tribal consultations. You can be doing air measurements. You could do all those things while other things are happening. So when you assemble a dedicated team, and I use that term all the time, it's a team effort. When we all got to work jointly to do this. I mean, it's not you guys and us guys. So we move forward on the project, and I think what we have in front of us, I think, is going to be a model for how we handle things in the future in terms of these large industrial warehouses. I'm going to guess, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say we're probably going to see a couple more of these in the future. Okay, and so I think that this is an exercise that I think that we utilized our years of experience to analyze this in a proper manner. And when you have folks that understand the process, it just gelled. And so I'll just kind of leave it. I'll leave it at that. It was a big project, and I think it's been successful.
Thank you. I believe we've heard from the commission, so we'll go ahead.
Additional comments.
Oh, my apologies. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Going back to the EIR, I noted that the Air Resources Board offered several mitigation measures, and to my understanding, the city had responded that the city can't put any conditions on the contract between the developer and future operator. I just wanted to confirm, is that actually correct? To my understanding, there has been conditions in other cities on what kind of operators and what kind of measures and types of technologies that the operators should use. So I'm thinking about, like, some of these recommendations I thought sounded good to me, that ARB had suggested around a lot, including a certain language in construction contracts and things like that.
Yeah, I'll start with it, and maybe Tracy, if you can chime in afterwards. It's there's the academic and there's the practical, kind of a thing. And so there are situations where that's a good idea, but how do we make it work? With all due respect, we had a recommendation earlier. How about if we limit the hours of the sale of alcohol? I think there isn't anyone here that would disagree that that's not a good suggestion. But how do you do that? How is it equitable?
I'm on video.
And that's really what we have to we have to be careful with, my practice has been and in the industry is you want to maintain an equity across the board on how you handle all projects. The easiest way, I will guarantee you, the easiest way to a project to be challenged is when you did something different for one project that you didn't do for everyone else. That's the easiest. And so we have to be careful with that. And so we maintain a process and a procedure for doing that. The Air Resources Board, they have a lot of wonderful ideas, yes. And maybe in some smaller jurisdictions, they have an ability to do that, because there's economy of scale or whatever the case is, or the particular project. Or sometimes the developer just wants the project so bad, they'll say whatever they have to get it done. And then we get what I call the butt sandwich later on when they try to implement it. It really didn't work. It was a nice try. And so we want to be realistic. We want to be genuine. We've been asked about, the conditions of approval, mitigation measures. How can we ensure? Well, we can only ensure those things that we're comfortable in imposing. And that's what we try to do with all of our projects. And I don't know, do you have a scientific response to that, Tracy?
You did a good job, Oliver. And there are a couple tests that are applied when the city's determining what can be imposed as mitigation. And the two biggest ones are, one, there needs to be, under the law, an essential nexus between the project's impacts and the mitigation, meaning the mitigation needs to be proportional to the impact that the project's causing. So you can't have a very small impact and impose a very large mitigation to compensate for it. But the second is the mitigation also has to be within the city's jurisdictional authority to impose and to enforce. So some of the suggestions that were offered in some of the comment letters were things like you mentioned, put this in the lease. Well, the city really doesn't have any jurisdictional authority to oversee or enforce contract language between two private parties. So that's why some of those items we did not recommend, and we didn't feel like the city had the authority to add them as mitigation because the city doesn't have any jurisdiction under the law to get in the middle of contract negotiations between two private parties. But everything that was suggested that we felt was reasonable, we did add through the final EIR process.
Thank you. And my last comment is more on the economic side. I certainly hear the public comments from the labor folks, but I did want to flag that construction is just one part of the economic equation, and that is temporary. The construction will complete, and those good jobs will be gone. My question. Or my concern is more, what sort of commitments does the developer have on the permanent jobs that are being created? Warehouse jobs do not pay well, largely, and our city needs good jobs. Is there any sort of conversation around making sure those permanent warehouse jobs do pay livable wages, do hire locally, and do support the nearby communities that have to deal with the truck traffic and the noise. My parents have to deal with noise from trucks like never before, and it's really sad. So thank you for hearing me out, but I don't know if I can support a project without thinking more bigger picture, considering the city doesn't even have a truck route. But thank you.
May I speak to that? May I?
Commissioner Chang.
I hear you. I don't, I'm not trying to be, let me think about how to say this. As a citizen, fairly new citizen, 4 years here, I would like to say, I sympathize, I care, and I understand your point. From my perspective, I may share with you is that I do see that this town has a surplus of skilled labor. And the skilled labor force members or citizens of skilled labor, they need jobs. They need the labor jobs per se. And I think it's about, per my understanding or reading of the general plan that's dated like back some 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I know the data is a bit outdated, back in 2012, 2005, I guess. Forgive me for not quoting it right. That we have about 30-40% of skilled labor, and perhaps 30% of them are currently unemployed due to COVID-19. And as we understand, we all know that our town has been in poverty as well for some time since the Air Force left this town in the 90s. As I read a lot about history of this town since I moved here. So I do see that the e-commerce industry is here to stay. As we know, we all buy from Amazon, Walmart, Macy's, whatever, all the stores everywhere now, right? And that supply chain technology has also changed and progressed, using more, robots, for example. But not to say that robots will replace humans. That's not what I mean, because we still need humans to do the work. So I do see that warehouse, this project, is a good opportunity. This is my perspective personally. I just see this as a really good fit for our town. I do understand the concern about losing nature due to the trade-off between economics and environmental, the sacrifices we have to make, but I do also see that with this project, from the sense based upon the staff report that I read, it appears to me to be employing new technology, and with being LEED USGBC, that's U.S. Green Building Council certified building, or just LEED Silver equivalent. Doesn't need to be certified. Just go for LEED Gold or LEED Silver equivalent. That is a huge energy reduction consumption on the building itself, and that also means that contributing to sustainable environment as well. You see, so personally, I do see this being a good project as a stepping stone to help put our folks to work, put our skilled labor force to work, and putting in and building our basic infrastructure economies, so to speak, if you will. And then once the skilled labor force are, making income and life settle down, and with that, hopefully will generate and attract retail enterprises, and that retail enterprises attract, more human capitals to move in. And while at the same time, looks like we're developing a new mall, the Carousel Mall, which sounds really exciting to me. No idea, but sounds great. Hopefully all these different pockets of economic developments at work, at play in our town, a synergy working together and getting us to the level where we envision eventually. I do want a lovely town just like you do, and we all do. And I do believe that we have good staff here with Mr. Hunley, Mr. Oliver Mojica, and the planning staff that work. They have heard us many times about what we envision. And as long as we stick to that vision working together, I do think that we can achieve it. But it does take time. It may take another 5 years or 10 years to get there, But I do see that. I just wanted to share my thoughts with you, if that's okay. Thank you so much for hearing me out.
Thank you. If we don't have any more, do we have any more public or any questions or comments from the commission for the staff or the applicant?
Vice Chair Jones, Chair Sanchez submitted some comments and questions to Oliver in writing because she knew she was not going to be available to be on Zoom during this item. I would ask Oliver to go over those comments and questions.
Now you're going to call me out. I didn't print them out. Stephanie, do you have a question?
Okay. And then address them as necessary.
Excellent. Let's do that.
Give me one moment to bring those up. Do you want me to just read through her questions and comments and you can go over those, Oliver?
Yes, please.
Okay. She says, thank you, staff, for number 18 and 19 of the conditions of approval to
No, just the one for item
Sorry.
number 4.
My apologies. Clarification when stating in adopt resolution number 2021-003, statement of overriding considerations and mitigation monitoring and reporting program under the California Environmental Quality Act. What are the implications of overriding considerations?
Actually, that is not included in the resolution. The resolution does not include that.
Okay. What specifically is SP-AC aside from that it indicates warehouses?
SP.
That's the specific plan Alliance California.
I feel like
She says, love the landscaping, the incorporation of historical features, the mix of greenery, trees and plants, the water tower, and plaques of history. What is the landscaping for the south side of the warehouse? Wall, gate, and or greenery?
The south side of the warehouse, that's adjacent to the airport property. So that area is going to be opened because the airport needs to continually use that area for their services. I'm not sure if there will be a wall implemented at that south side area, just because it's already screened and blocked from any kind of public use, because it's only going to be for the airport itself. Maybe if David can answer that question to see if that's something that will be incorporated as well.
Actually, the feeling was that we'd rather concentrate the landscaping in areas that would actually be seen by the public or utilized. And so that's why we've created the park and some of the other features that we have along 3rd Street. Like I said, once again, we would like to, instead of putting it in the back where basically it's just an industrial kind of a view back there, like I said, we want to have the landscaping someplace that it has a meaningful impact.
Thank you, David, for adding that.
Right. She states that it will bring jobs and vitalize an area that is currently abandoned. And her classic question, when would the project start?
Well, I think as soon as we move this recommendation to Mayor and City Council and we go through the process of the first reading and the second reading, I think right after that, they're willing to move forward. Peter, am I speaking out of turn?
Elizabeth, you hit the nail on the head. After many years, we're excited to bring this project to fruition. We've kicked off our engineers in working on working drawings for the actual building itself, all the improvements on site. So we would love to be grading, sometime in June is kind of our target.
Perfect. Those are all of Chair Sanchez's comments.
Thank you so much. Are there any other comments from the commission? At this time, we'll close public comment and I will entertain a motion. All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda item number 4 as read into the record. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Can we please have a vote roll call from the recording secretary?
Yes, thank you. Commissioner Guerrero.
Aye.
Commissioner Lopez. Oh, you're on mute, Commissioner.
But I have some reservations. Thank you.
Commissioner Flores.
No.
Vice Chair Jones.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilbert.
Yes.
Commissioner Chang.
Yes.
Commissioner Morales.
Yes.
With 1 no vote, the item passes.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. And if I could say one last thing, San Manuel Landing is really a testament to, our mantra at San Manuel. And you see it in our hallways, you see it in our conference rooms, you see it everywhere we go. And that's, building something greater together. And that's why we're here. And that's why we're here with you in the city. So thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for your contributions. We appreciate it. Moving on, Planning Commission reports and announcements. Does the commission have any reports or announcements that they would like to read into the record? Commissioner Lopez.
I just have a question. If Oliver could answer us and give us an update of where we are at the general plan.
How did I know you were going to ask that?
Hey, I'm with you. We're thinking alike.
Well, let me get to the director's report and I can give you guys an update.
Okay.
All right. Other than that, only announcements I wanted to really highlight really quick was just welcoming Commissioner Flores to the team. Good to have you with us. If you want to just say a few words before we move on to the director's report.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, everybody. My name is Jesus Flores, born and raised in San Bernardino. My parents are from the First Ward. Went to elementary school in the First Ward, but went to high school in the Fifth at Cajon. I went on to study urban and environmental policy at Occidental College. Worked a bit in the Capitol in Sacramento on environmental issues and housing issues, and went back to school at UCLA, got my grad school degree in urban planning. Definitely passionate about planning and policy, and excited to be back home, honestly. I work in a consulting firm that does planning work based in LA, but now that everything's remote, I can now permanently live in San Bernardino. So excited to be back home.
Excellent. Welcome to the team, Commissioner Flores. We're glad to have you.
Welcome.
All right, we'll move on to the director's report.
Yes, commissioners, as we've all anxiously been awaiting, the general plan is here. For those that don't know, we are having a city council workshop this Thursday at 6 o'clock. I would encourage and invite you to join us if you're able. It's really going to be a kind of an introductory discussion, kind of a high level in terms of what the scope is, the schedule, and those kinds of things. There really isn't going to be it's not really a forum for exchange of ideas or that kind of thing. It's really just to kind of get everyone on an understanding. We'll touch upon what we're going to be doing for public outreach, public information. It's just kind of an overview, if you will. It's kind of like the first day in class where the instructor goes over the syllabus, what we'll be doing for the next 3 years, and so we will cover some of those items. And so it's really just kind of to get people excited, engaged. We will then the next step in March, we are going to go back to the city council, and at that point we will Stephanie's working with the consulting team on the outreach as it relates. We're working on a web page or website for just the general plan. It's going to be an opportunity for us there's going to be a library of resources, so you can at any time of the day or whatever, you can go onto that web page. There'll be resources, there'll be documents on what is a general plan, what's a circulation element, it's really the suggested readings for the course, if you will. And so the goal is to try to get everyone, again, like I mentioned, we want to get everybody with the same baseline of information and knowledge of what's going on. We hear loud and clear public participation, public input, but along with that I think it's important to educate the public in what they're looking for or how they should view this. What does this really mean? And so how do you translate your layperson's ideas or thoughts about how things are to what I'll call a planning jargon or nomenclature of the language, and ultimately we'll end up with some successful documents kind of thing. So it's really just kind of here we are, and then we'll be coming back and as I mentioned before, we'll be bombarding you with homework assignments, so you can again, keep informed. We will provide you with updates as there'll be surveys and those kinds of things, questionnaires that we put on our website. There'll be live results on there, so you'll be able. I'm not Stephanie knows I'm from the Pong era, so when it comes to technology and things, but there'll be a way where there'll be. There'll be kind of live discussions, if you will, so people can put their comments. So commissioners, if you or someone they put a comment on it, hey, what do you guys think about this? Well, everybody gets to see what your idea was, and so there's kind of an ongoing discussion like that. And then then we'll provide you with prompts. Hey, we're looking at this area to do this. What do you think about industrial warehouses. What do you think about a truck route? Where should the truck routes be? I'm just throwing that as an example, and then we can start getting. So that's it. We're not going to have all those discussions on Thursday. So, but I just again, it's just really this is the road that we're going down, and this is just to kind of prepare you for the upcoming exercise.
Is there a Oliver? Is there a target deliverable date or due date when this amendment going to be complete for that you guys have set a schedule to?
Well, I've committed to 3 years for personal reasons. I'm 60 years old. I don't want to be finishing this when I'm 70. And so I honestly think that we can get it done within the 3 years. We've had that discussion at length with the consulting team, and a lot of it, frankly, we really drive the schedule. I say we being the entire team staff, because there's in the last 2 months that we've been working on this, the contract was executed at the end of last year, and questions have been, well, what has been done? You have no idea the amount of information that they're asking for, documents, the previous general plan. What are your maps? Do we have historic photos? Do we have, they gave me an Excel sheet that's like 8 pages of information, and so between me and a couple of people on my team, we go through and we're scouring our resources. We have IT. Stephanie's working with IT to try to get us, the GIS base maps for the land use zones, for flood zones. I mean, it just goes on and on. So there's a lot of that research going on, and due diligence, if you will, kind of a thing. And so but soon we'll be scraping the surface on some deliverables. But again, it's my target is 3 years. I've gone on the record. I've told Michael Huntley, we'll get this done in 3, and that's. I'm not going to change that. I'm holding firm to that. And so whatever we have to do to make that happen, let's do it. Kind of a thing. And so you will see as I'm going to guess by the summertime, it's going to be a regular item on the Planning Commission agenda in terms of updates, input, questions. I'll let you know what the GPAC is doing, some of the other advisory committees. We can discuss, or I can provide you with how certain surveys may be going. Wherever we are at that moment in time, we'll keep everyone at that same level of information.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
At this point, I believe we're going to be coming to a close, so I'd like to make a motion to adjourn until our next regular scheduled meeting, March 9th, 2021 at 6 p.m. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, and have a good evening.
Take care.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Vice
Bye.